What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday night. We are here. And I have a very special guest with me tonight. Man who's often in the group chat over here. He's been on. You were with us a couple weeks ago for
Hmm.
the Romero fan roundtable. Is that what I call it?
That's what it
Um,
was, yeah.
but wanted to get you on here for a one-on-one exclusive here on the Alpha Romero channel. Mr. Matt Landrum, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining me.
What's up, dude? No problem. Don't forget Fulci. I brought Fulci back with me too.
Fulci is here as well, so we got a
Yeah,
we got a we got a
Fulci's
three-man group here tonight.
yeah, he's asked out. He's not going to be talking a whole lot, but he's here. He's present.
How old is Fulci?
He's about 2. Yeah, he
Not
was he
two.
was on the yeah. When did we adopt him? I think we adopted him in April. He was on the chopping block. Yeah, he was one of the ones that
Ooh.
was like, hey, 3 more days and he's gone. So we sprang for him. We went and busted him out of jail, and he's been with us ever since. So
How's he been? Is he a good dog?
yeah, he's awesome, dude. He's awesome. He's like one of the most chill fucking dogs I've ever been around, ever had. Dax, my other dog, he's the complete opposite. So they kind of balance each other out. So and Dax, yeah, I'm sure you know where I got the name Dax from.
I figure,
Um,
yeah. You're a big
yeah,
Dax
yeah,
Shepard fan, right?
yeah, exactly.
That's the only other Dax I've known outside of Dax Riggs. Well, and now your dogs.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, very, very cool, man. Yeah, I got
yeah.
two dogs too. They're both mentally insane, but both rescues. One I almost ran over in the street. Um, Picked her up, took her to the house she was running from in the front yard. She was kind of just running in the yard and almost ran out in the road. Took her up to the house, knocked on the door, and the person come to the door and says, that's not our dog. That's the neighbor's dog. She's always getting
Yeah.
out." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She was just a little puppy. So took her next door, saw a little kennel in the back. I was like, "Okay, this is your house." Walked up, knocked on the door. Guy comes to the door. I'm like, "Hey, man, your dog almost ran out in the road." And he just looked at me. He's like, "Nah, ain't mine. You can have her." I
Wow.
was like,
Okay.
"Okay. Are you sure this isn't your dog? Like, guy next door said it was." He was like, "Nah, never seen her. You can have her." I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." So I was working time. I was delivering pizzas. Took her back to Papa John's, and we hit her in the back and like fed her pepperonis and shit the rest of the night. And then I took her home, and then she just laid on the couch and slept for hours and hours and hours. And eventually, when she woke up, I noticed that she had just pissed throughout an entire
Oh
sleep.
God.
Just so my couch was just soaked. I was like,
Holy
okay, we're
shit.
officially acquainted now. She's been with me
Yeah.
ever since.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Yeah, Fulci, the what actually kind of sealed the deal for him. We were actually in Savannah on vacation, and we've been looking at the Coweta County shelter, just waiting to pull the trigger. And
mhm.
I went to some game store down there, and I don't know if you know, but they actually filmed City of the Living Dead in Savannah.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember you saying that. I wasn't aware, but I did remember seeing your location pictures, your location
yeah,
photos you did down there.
Yeah, so we were down there visiting all those locations and having a great time. And I went to this game shop, and they had a bunch of horror memorabilia and like horror stuff that you could buy. And there were like these handmade magnets that they were selling. And the dude behind the counter, I found a City of the Living Dead magnet and a Night of the Living Dead magnet. And I went to go check out, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool. You a Fulci fan?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm a Fulci fan." And we started talking about it. And he was like, "Oh, he's like, my cat's name is Fulci." And I was like, "Really?" And I'm already, the light bulb's already in my head about this dog.
I need an
And he's
animal to Fulci.
yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, my cat's missing an eye too, so it kind of works out." And I was like, "Damn,
Perfect.
this dog's got a fucking spot over his eye that looks like he's missing his eye." I was like, "Sold. It's done." So like literally
They're
like the
like
week
the
we
people at the
yeah.
shelter are like, "Oh, he's killed 2 kids already, and he's very violent, very angry." You're like, "I don't care. He fits the bill. That's Fulci.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy."
Yeah. Which is funny because he's a complete scaredy cat. He's like the opposite of any kind of aggressive dog, and but it's a fun name, and I love him. He's a cool dog, cool ass fucking dog. He's, as you
Yeah,
can see, he's just chills. So
that's pretty damn cool. And you had no
yeah.
no pushback from the wife or the kid about naming him Fulci or anything. They weren't like, "I
No,
don't know."
well, no, not that I can think of. No, 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 no. There was no pushback about the. There was a little pushback about having a second dog. So they talked me into the
Yeah.
first dog. The
Mm,
first dog, because our dog Atticus, he passed away last year. He was like 15, and
mm,
I was like, "That's it. I'm done. I don't want to go through this shit again. Like the heartbreak and
Mhm.
I was like, that's it. And then it was right around Christmas time. My son sent me a text message. Hey, Dad, I don't really want anything for Christmas this year. I just want a dog. And I was like, you motherfucker, don't do this shit to me.
How
Don't
can
do
you
this
say
shit to
no
me.
to that?
And
How
so
can you
they so
say
they
no?
they had to work on me a little bit, but I caved and we got Dax. And
Mhm.
things, I was like, all right, whatever, we're just gonna roll with it. And then come April, I'm like, all right, we already have one. And so I had to kind of talk them into getting a second one. So, but fuck it,
Right,
that's what they get, right?
right.
So so
That it's
but
pretty funny. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna talk all things Romero tonight. We're gonna play a little 10 questions here in a second, so everybody
okay.
kind of get to know you a little bit. And I got a few curveballs in here, but
Uh-oh.
uh,
Look, dude, don't fuck with me too hard. It's been a long
no, no, it's
day.
nothing crazy, but just I don't know, a couple of new questions. I guess I don't think I've asked anybody before,
Okay.
um, but yeah, and then we're also going to talk some Days of the Dead, Atlanta coming up next weekend. Planning on being there. Buddy Will's going to be there. Hoping to meet up. Got a few other things on the itinerary want to do in the Atlanta area because I've only been to Atlanta one time, and it was for like a night. Basically,
Yeah.
we went for the night, came home the next day, so I really know nothing about Atlanta, what's in Atlanta. So
Or
hopefully you
are
could.
you going to be staying at the hotel where the convention is?
No, where we're staying. It's somewhere outside because it was way too expensive to stay in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I think we found a spot at like outside, closer to the airport. So I think it'll
Okay.
be a little cheaper that way.
Okay.
Um, but let's see who's all in the
Yeah.
chat here tonight so far. Mister Rick the North Going Llama, what's up, man? Good to see you. Always good to see you and say your name. Appreciate it. Bonnie Bailey's in the house. What's going on, Bonnie? Good to see you as always. Rick saying hi. Stuka Style. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Brandon Salisbury. What's going on,
Brandon,
man? Good to have
what's
you
up,
in
dude?
here. The director of the upcoming George A. Romero's Resident Evil documentary. I'm really stoked to see that because I'm a huge Resident
Yeah.
Evil too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I was kind of hoping that Brandon was going to be in the chat for that round table when we were talking a little bit about Resident Evil. I had some questions
mm,
about those games that I was showing. About the movie, remember the went apart in the movie that I have on that
yeah,
Resident Evil
yeah,
2 thing?
yeah.
I was going to ask him about that. Maybe we can talk about it tonight.
Let's see. There's a man himself, Will Phelps. What's going on, man? Good to see
What's up,
you as
Will?
always. Uh, Look at Brandon giving you a little love. Matt Landrum, great guy. Yes, he is. Very great
You
guy.
too, brother. You too, man. All the
Um,
love. All the love.
Getting a little love for your room there. You have an awesome, awesome room, says
Thank you.
Brandon.
I
I
wish I
do
could
agree.
show
That's a hell of a
yeah.
collection.
Well, I wish I could show it all off. I've actually got a bunch of posters command stripped to my ceiling that you can't see because I've ran slap out of fucking room. Like I have no more space for anything. And
How did you do your posters on the ceiling? Because I got the same thing here, and it was like a test. Like every time I'd try something, I'd be like, "Is this?" Because I have them like framed, but I had to find like the thinnest, lightest frames possible. So then I
yeah, it's
started
just,
trying different types of adhesives and command strips. I didn't want to destroy the ceiling or anything, but
yeah. Well, so I use the I think it's I don't know if it's mainstays or whatever from Walmart, just the cheap plastic,
mm-hmm.
whatever. And then I command strip the shit out of them. So like there's like 8 command strips. Look, because if they're going up, they better fucking stay up. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. That was always the
And I
scary thing because I got some of them hanging because the ceiling in here is kind of slanted. So I
yeah,
got some of them hanging on the ceiling, and some of them are like right over like collections of stuff that don't need to be
yes.
knocked over, like,
Well,
you
it
know.
happened one time. And so I have one over my head here that fell, and I actually had the little phantasm sphere, the replica that came with the box set a couple
Mm-hmm.
years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
it fucking smashed that thing to pieces. I was so pissed off. So I was only
Ooh.
using like 4 command strips, so I doubled that shit moving forward. I'm like, this is not happening again.
Yeah, you gotta
So
put one in each corner, you gotta put one on the sides, on each side, and then maybe
each
one or two
corner,
yeah.
yep, each corner, the side, and then the top and bottom. So
Mhm.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
expensive. Those command strips cost a lot of money. So
No shit, dude, I can't tell you how much money I've spent on command strips and just tacks and just the most random shit to hang things on. It's funny because I buy so many frames And when I go to Walmart, I'll just have like a buggy full of frames, and I always get shit for it from my fiance. She's just like, you know,
So
every time you go
let
to
me
Walmart, you come back with a pile of frames. I'm like, okay,
I don't want
go
to
ahead.
get too far off the rails, but like so, and I wanted to ask Larry this too. Like when you, because I imagine you probably collect a lot of things that you can't even display anymore. What do you do? Do you
Getting
keep your
there.
shit in like folders, or what do you like? I mean,
I
how do you
have
store your stuff?
so the stuff that I don't have on the walls, like pictures wise, like I have a lot of 8x10s and stuff like that. I keep them in like a binder, um, and just have them on a shelf. I have just shelf with binders of photos and stuff. Posters, I just have like in my corner. I just have a corner of like rolled and folded posters and a bunch of shit in an Iron City beer bag that I got when I went to the
Yeah,
Iron City factory. Um, yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I got, I don't know if you can see it back here, but I just have
yeah,
in like totes, like there's only so much space up here to do anything. And it's at a point now where it's almost like, yeah, I should really kind of maybe look to get rid of some of this stuff. Cause I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be that kind of collector that just has things to have things to just be
yeah,
like, ah, it's all mine. At some point, it's like, I don't have any of this stuff out and about to look at, or, it's just kind of put away. But I'm sure somebody out there would just love to have that, type of
yeah,
thing. So I'm kind of toying with the idea. I'm kind of going through my record collection right now and kind of paring that down a little bit to make a little room because I got a bunch of shit that I just have and never listened to or anything like that. And I don't really buy a whole lot of records anymore, to be honest with you.
yeah.
So, are you a record collector? You got a lot of
Oh
money.
yeah, I got a huge record collection. I've actually, let me see. Let's see if I can turn you here. So here's my record shelf
God damn,
there, and
that's
then
beautiful.
it bleeds over here, back there. So I've got all my soundtracks over there, W through Z, for everything else is over there, and this is my just regular record collection up to like whatever U or T or whatever. And then
Mm,
here's all the shit I was talking about, command strip to the ceiling. It just kind of goes and goes and goes.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, I'm
That's.
I love collecting records. I've
I
got
used to be
every
so into, and nowadays, like I'll still go to like record shops. I'll still buy things, but it's usually an album from a band that I'm just discovering, and I want to listen
yeah,
to the whole album because I'm really bad. Like when it comes to Spotify or something, there's a few exceptions here and there. But when it comes to Spotify, like I'll just stick with like a handful of songs that I like, and then I'll just cycle them and then put them in my liked songs, and then just keep moving and
yeah.
then just keep going. But if I'm like really into a band, like I gotta have the album to listen
The
to.
the physical media,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to just put it on, take it in, like I don't know the way it's meant to be taken in, and um, so yeah, I don't really collect vinyl as much as I used to. Whereas before, I got to have every album by Depeche Mode, or I got to have every Nirvana album. I had to have everything, and now it's just more of like, if I want an album, it's got to be something that I'm really getting into, and I want to listen to more. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm catching up on all my soft kill collection, because I've been listening to them for years, and
Mm,
but I kind of had a period where I gave them a break for a while, but now I'm catching back up and I'm spending too much fucking money. That's the way it goes though. So
yeah, yeah. It's funny you don't know how much some of the shit you got's worth until you're like I was cataloging um a lot of
you on
my
Discogs?
yeah, I'm working on
Yeah.
it. I used to have an account, but I don't remember the password or anything to it or what it was, but it was like years ago. So I'm going back and re-cataloging everything. And it kind of shows you like what it's recently sold for and all that stuff. And I got have you ever seen the movie Walk Hard, the Dewey
Oh
Cox
yeah,
story?
Dewey Cox. Yeah.
I got the soundtrack on vinyl back
No, do
here.
you really?
I fucking love that movie.
That
Um,
is the best. That's the best fucking movie. Oh my god, I
and,
love that movie.
and I bought it. It's just like, oh, I love it. But I never listened to it really. So I was cataloging it earlier. I looked on disc. I was like, shit's going for like $250, $300 now. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
dude.
fuck, man. Like I love this album. I love all these songs, but if somebody's willing to pay me $300 for it, I mean, I kind of just, I, I could use $300.
Great movie. You could take $300 for the fucking record. That's
Yeah,
that's something you can get rid of.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Although the funny thing about that movie is a lot of those songs are actually pretty good songs, like pretty well
They're
written
great.
songs. Yeah.
And now, didn't what's the dude's name? The main actor,
John
um,
C. Riley.
John C. Riley. Didn't he write a lot of that shit
Yeah, yeah, it's
himself?
all him. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was a
he's awesome.
period there. There was a period where he would show up at just random bars on Broadway in Nashville and just with a band and would just play these songs. Like I remember that time period, and he would just come out and play. You know, it was
Yeah,
pretty freaking awesome.
that's
It's
cool. Yeah,
kind of like Spinal Tap, like the guys in Spinal Tap. All that's all their real music and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I've got several records that I've hunted down over the years that are worth a lot of money. Like I could probably put my kid through college with this shit. It's probably
hmm
gonna happen. Um,
That's
you know, in the
that's
next,
what I tell Jade all
yeah,
the time. I'm like, I got all this stuff just in case, Everly needs help paying for college or she develops a
yeah,
drug problem. One or the other. I got her
yeah.
back.
Either way, but yeah, I've got the Downward Spiral, the original pressing of the Downward Spiral by Nine
Mm,
Inch Nails, and I know that goes for I think two or three easy.
yeah.
So I mean, I've got a lot of records like that I've held on to over the years. Um, but yeah, I'm sure eventually it's going to go towards my kid's college. So, but
Yeah. Hey, you never know.
didn't.
Kid seems like a smart kid. He might get a full ride somewhere. So I think you might be safe.
That's the plan. That's the plan. So I can keep my
That's
shit.
exactly. That's what I'm pushing him towards. I'm like, look, help dad keep his collection together and go get straight A's. So
Exactly.
it's a good motto. TCCK Gaming in the house. What's up, Lucio Fulci is awesome. I
Yes, he
agree.
is.
Good to see you, sir. Grande's Graveyard is in the house. What's up,
Grande.
Grande? Happy Saturday, guys. Getting some early show prep in tonight, watching some Tales from the Darkside Season 3. Hope all is well, Alpha and Matt. Land, Rum of the Dead.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Cheers to you guys and f the dog. Well, thanks for dropping in, man. Appreciate it. Tales from the Dark. That's a series I need to go back and continue watching because I started watching it. That's one of those series I didn't grow up on it. I didn't watch it.
I don't think I've ever seen one episode.
It's not bad. There's some good stuff. There's some episodes directed by John Harrison in it. There's some episodes directed by Gornick. The
Okay.
first episode is written by Romero. It's his he wrote
Mhm.
that. I mean, it's a good show. It's a nice little it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. Like it's different. Like one episode can be kind of horror-ish. The other episode
Yeah.
can be more um I don't know, just weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a pretty good show. I got to go back and continue watching those because for a while there I was watching them and like reviewing them by episode.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I remember seeing that on your channel. Yeah.
yeah, and I burned out so fast on doing that. I was just like, I can't do this once a week, like because like it was just like it got to be a chore. I was just like, like I want to watch more, but I know if I do it, I got to do a whole new video and do all the editing and all this shit. And I'm just like, I don't even
Yeah.
want to do any of it anymore. So maybe I'll figure out a different way to cover it at
Yeah.
some point. Let's
But
see.
Grande too. I really enjoyed chatting with him. That's a good dude, man. He's so cool. And
Yeah,
boy, he
yeah,
can cut a fucking intro. That was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Grande's the man. Like, super smart too. Loves movies, loves film. He knows, like, he's so knowledgeable about all kinds of movies from all eras and all genres. I mean, he's brilliant dude. Great channel too, because he'll cover anything. Like one week it'll be Kubrick, the next week it'll be, Tales from the Dark Side, seasoned or
And
covers the
he's he's
spectrum. Yeah.
he's a young cat too, right? Isn't he pretty young?
Yeah. I think he's mid-20s. I think Grande
Yeah,
for
and he's
Stone
talking about
Harrison.
like Mario Bava and shit like that. It's like
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know anybody in their 20s that's even heard of that shit.
yeah. He's big Giallo fan,
Yeah.
big Japanese horror fan. I don't know if you're into
Mhm.
to Japanese horror. I mean, he knows his shit on like pretty much anything you ask him about. He knows what
Yeah.
he's talking about. Although he is not a fan of Hereditary or Midsommar, and I don't
Oh
understand that.
man, those are so good. What? Those are
I
so
don't.
good.
I don't understand, but it's But for the most part, I agree. But he's just he refers to himself as a hereditator. That's
I read it. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Which I haven't seen Bo is Afraid yet, but I've heard that's pretty shitty. Like I heard a lot of people talk about it.
I liked it when I saw it in the theater. I haven't watched it again because it's one of those movies that's like when you watch it once. And I felt the same way about Midsommar. I just watched that again for the second. I rewatched that for the first time in years. Like I saw it for once a few years ago, and then like that was it. I was just like, I don't know if I can handle watching that again. Um, but I just rewatched that director's cut that I got, and yeah, and Bo's Afraid's going to be one of those too that I really liked when I saw it in the theater, but I don't really have an urge to go back and rewatch because it's so fucking long for one.
Yeah.
Like it's like 3 hours long, but I mean, when I was watching it in the theater, it was like I don't know. It was like that moment where it's like every scene you're just like, "Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen next," because you
Yeah.
don't see where it's going. It's like, "Oh, this is going to take a right turn." It's like, "Nope, takes a left." Oh, okay, I see we're going left now, and then it takes no hard right, and you're just like, "Where? What the fuck is going on here?" It's
Yeah.
recommended. I'd recommend checking it out.
I'll give it a shot. I'd planned on it, but I've heard a lot of naysayers that have said it wasn't that great. So, but I'll give it a shot for sure.
Well, it's just one of those movies it's hard to categorize too because it's got horror elements, but it's not a horror movie, but it's also got comedy in it. I'll
Yeah.
tell you this: when I saw it in the theater, it was the weirdest theater crowd because it was a bunch of like I don't know where these people came from, but like it was just me and my buddy, and then everybody else that was in the theater to see it were like punks and like goth kid. Like it was just the weirdest gathering of people and the weirdest reactions to a movie you've ever heard. It's like something horrible happens on screen, but it's done such a weird way that there's giggling and laughter, and it's just like you don't really know how to respond to a lot of the shit in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, but
Yeah.
it's definitely worth checking out if you got 3 hours to kill on a Sunday evening or something. Um, Here's a question from TCCK Filming. Genuinely curious, how did you two meet? How did we meet? I know we met for the first time at Living Dead Weekend 2021,
We
but I
did.
guess.
We were like random friends on Facebook. I know that we were friends on Facebook, and we hadn't really communicated that much. And
Mhm,
then Living Dead Weekend 2021. I remember seeing you, and it was kind of like I kept seeing your pictures popping up on Facebook from the event, and I know I was
mhm,
posting stuff too. And I think we were like, I think I reached out to you. And I was like, hey man, if you see me, just say what's up, because I know, I think I remember seeing you and Jade and your daughter kind of walking around, and
mhm,
I was like, well, we're already friends on Facebook. We might as well just kind of say what's up, you know. And
mhm.
I think we ran into each other and kind of introduced ourselves, and then after that, it was like some weird fucking, I don't know what you like. The universe was just trying to pair us together, but
I know it was like a
like,
gravitational pull.
yeah.
Like
So
where anywhere we went, we were like, oh hey, look, it's Matt. Oh hey, look, there they are again.
Yeah, we were on, I know we were on Larry's tour together. I got a picture of
Mhm,
the back of your head and your daughter's head in my photo album. Um, so I know we were there, and then randomly at a yogurt shop, I
mhm.
was looking at my wife, I was like, "Here's that fucking guy again." Like, here, he's showing up everywhere. And what does it mean? But so that was kind of cool, and I know that it was a little awkward. We're like, "Hey, what's up again?" You know, and then I
We're
think
like,
I
hey,
ran.
frozen yogurt, am I right? And you're like, hey,
Yeah, yeah. And then
yeah, that was weird.
I think I ran into you at the Sheets gas station again. I was like, bro, I fucking swear I'm not following you. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not following you.
Yeah,
And
there was like a multiple times over that weekend where we just it was just weird. It was like if we ran into each other at the mall, it was like okay, we're both here for that, you know.
yeah,
But like just oh hey, we decided to get frozen yogurt at the exact same time again, and it was like
yeah.
okay, but
But
yeah,
you know, I look back on that, and I think that was, I still, you know, I look back on that really fondly, and I think that was
mm-hmm,
really cool that we you and I kind of had like a shared similar first experience going to Pittsburgh, and we both went with our families,
mm-hmm.
and then we kind of kept running into each other. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. So, and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
know the following years, seeing you show back up and kind of bumping into you, because I think we were on another tour with Larry the next year.
yeah. The exact same tour the following
Yeah,
year, and we were both
yeah,
just like, yeah, I just want to go back to the to the boiler room, the engine room, whatever.
yeah,
Like, all right, here we go. This is what we paid for.
yeah.
I think I have you on camera saying that because I had my camera that year.
Probably,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah, it was cool. You were kind of my first friend that was from that group, in the Dawn group. You know that because like I said, that was my first time going to Pittsburgh, going to the mall, anything like that.
yeah,
Um, and of course, I'd bump into like Daniel Lowry, Eric Kent. I bumped into him in the elevator and was like, "Oh, hey, man, I'm big fan." Just introduced myself, but we didn't really know
yeah,
each other. Um, But you were the first one. I remember you were coming down the escalator as we were walking by, and I remember you saying, "Michael Lancaster," and I was like, "What just said my name?" And I looked, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Matt, what's up?" And yeah, so
It's like, hey, it's Facebook rando over here. What's up, dude?
that's the thing about Living Dead weekend is when you go for the first time, you start meeting all these people that you only knew through Facebook for the longest
Well,
period of time.
dude, that first year that we got home after Living Dead weekend, I got like fucking 50 friend requests from just random people that I don't even
Mm-hmm.
remember meeting. And I was like, okay, I just accepted all of them. And because, and that's the cool thing too, is like, John Vulo kind of touched on this a little bit on that nightcast the other day. Um, the people that you meet through these films and at these events and going to Living Dead weekend, like I've never met a cooler bunch of people. Like I've never met a more like familial group of individuals that are so accepting and so cool. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's like, okay, accept, you know what I mean? Because these people are just so fucking genuine. And
Yeah.
and I think it's cool too that like like our just using it as an example, like our roundtable the other day or the other week or whatever, a month ago. I'm in Atlanta, you're in Indiana, like Synth's on the West Coast, Larry's in North Carolina, Will's in Kentucky, like all these people from all these different places
Mm-hmm.
that all have the same sort of shared love for this stuff. And that's sort of a testament. And like in Paul, Paul up in
Yeah.
Wisconsin, um,
Yeah, we,
you
we
know,
covered we covered the the entire United States that night,
yeah.
I think.
But even the world, I mean,
Mm,
Jackie from Scotland, I mean, all these fucking cool people, and it's all because of George, you know what I mean? It's all
mhm.
because of our shared love for his films. And that's something so special, dude. Like I've never, I'm 40 now, and it took up to this point for me to kind of find my people. Like I've got friends, right? But these are my
Right.
fucking people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah, that was always the thing too growing up is like I always had friends and we always had like common interests like music or stuff like that, movies even just like film in general. But like people that are like really into Romero and Dawn and this that like know this shit like the back of their hands. It's like I was the only one speaking that language forever. And nobody else
Yeah,
understood what the hell I was saying. But then when you meet
dude.
that person that's like you say something and they're like, "Yeah, I get it." And you're like, and that was the feeling the first time you go to Living Dead weekend, you go to, Monroeville, and the first time you bump into somebody. Because I remember, I think it was when I first got there, I was wearing a t shirt. Excuse me. I was wearing a t shirt that had just the image from Dawn of the Dead of Peter and Steven at the bank, shaking hands and holding the cash up to the camera. And I was in the elevator with just some guy, and a guy just looked at me. He was like, "You never know." And I knew exactly
Yeah,
what he was talking about, and he knew
perfect.
exactly what. Yeah, and I was just like,
Yeah. Yes.
money, money,
Yes.
money. They got it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
And
when you meet those people, it's I don't know. It's like, hey, where have you been my whole life?
yeah, and another example too. I don't mean to keep going, but like my when we first got to the mall, we've been driving 2 days straight. We got to the mall. I always go in through the biker entrance. That's the way that I go
Mm,
in every time, just to take the whole thing in all the way down until we get down to the event on the end or whatever. And I'm just in awe. I'm almost in shock. And of course, my family are with me, kind of trailing behind, watching me. And we get down to the opposite side down there where the event is, and I see this blob, just this black blob coming straight at me. And I was like, "Oh shit." And I look over and it's Larry. And Larry just walks up to me and he's just like, "Hey, nice to finally meet you." And I was like, "I've seen this dude on DVD like special features, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like and he's coming up to me and saying
yeah.
hello, and then there was another friendship that was born. I mean, we were already kind of talking online, and he was helping me with some locations in Sanibel and stuff like that. But like
Hmm.
actually meeting him in person, he fucking found me,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's
always
special.
that's always a fun thing too. That because like I grew up like I've been watching this stuff and just studying the stuff for years and years and years. So when you see Larry for the first time, you're like, I've seen that dude so many times on so many things, like his blog and everything.
Yeah,
Or you see Matt Blasey or something like that. He's like, oh, dude, it's fucking Matt Blasey. Like it's just like to you, these people are just as much celebrities as some of the celebrities. You're like, I've been looking,
absolutely.
I've been following this dude for years. Like Blasey was
Yeah.
like the first guy I ever talked to about this stuff. Like when I was like
Yeah.
13, I found him on AOL Instant Messenger, and I was just like, "Hey, man, like I like your website, and I like this stuff too." And he was just like, "Oh, cool, man, let's talk." And we just had this communication for months, months, months. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It was just cool when you first get to Living Dead Weekend. You go to Monroeville and you start just seeing all these people like that you're used to seeing on like WGON radio or
Yeah.
shit like that. You're just like, oh, it's it's Dave Burien. Holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
when's he gonna pull out the goodies?
When am I gonna get to hold the machete like that?
Let's
But
make
no,
sure we hang around this guy for a while.
you talking about Matt Blasey and Eric Kent, dude? Those two guys, they got me through COVID. Like, I
Mm,
mean, that whole stretch of COVID, all I did was listen to WGO and fucking Dawn of the Dead Minute, all that
mm-hmm.
stuff, all those
Me too.
interviews they did, and actually, I've been able to actually meet them in person several times and thank them. They come down to Georgia once a year. They come down here and camp out at the Friday the 13th camp from Part
Oh, really?
Six.
Mm,
And this last time, I was able to go kind of catch up with them for a few minutes and hang out for a minute and tell them that,
yeah.
and that's important to be able to tell people those things. And I thank them for getting me through COVID, like getting me through that crazy lockdown period. And
Mm-hmm.
and also kind of helping tide me over until the next year because, I bought my tickets for Living Dead Weekend in January 2020. I was fucking pumped.
Mm.
And then, COVID like the next
Then
month.
it was like the world
And
was like, nope.
yep.
You're like,
So
shit.
so
Yeah,
we had
me
to wait
too.
a year and a half, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Like, because I remember specifically just listening to those episodes over and over again, like the Tom Dubinsky episode or,
yeah.
the Tony Buba interview, obviously. Um, just listening to it over and over and over again. And that's why I do this channel on YouTube. This is why I'm doing this, is because, it's like, it's what I like to talk about. Seems like a lot of fun. Like, that's what kind of, set me in that direction.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, I've met Matt and Eric both a couple times. Told them that I was like, dude, I do a channel on YouTube now, and I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. Like, and they're like, oh, well, thanks. Super super cool guys. Um, where was I? But yeah, yeah. Hold on. Someone okay, so Brandon says someone won the win apart, but it was about 4 years until the movie film, so they took the cash prize, so they weren't in the movie.
Right.
There you go.
But my question was because Brandon, if you're listening, I actually got the Resident Evil 2 game on PlayStation when it came out. The night it came out, it came with a T-shirt and everything. And I found it and I gave it to my kid not too long ago. And I was checking it out, and on the front it has that win apart the movie. I'm curious, and I'm assuming that it was for the movie that George was going to direct. And that's what I was asking. That's what I was curious about, was if it was for the film that George was going to make.
I mean, you'd kind of think it would be, right?
It had to be because the game came out, I think, in '98.
Yeah, 98
So
would have
that would
been.
have been when he was attached to make it.
Yeah.
Because when did the Paul? It came out in 2000, right? The first Resident Evil. No,
2002,
no,
I think.
2002. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years. My math is. I'm not. I wasn't doing the math. I was just trying to go off my head. But yeah, that's right. So
Brandon says, I'm obviously a big fan of Resident Evil games, Matt, so if you ever have questions, I'll be happy to answer. There
I
you
got
go.
you, man. Thank you. You're the guy to go to, obviously.
Rick, man, I really like your backlit condenser mic. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Stuka saying, any of y'all get messed up by Hurricane Helene? Yeah, that's right. You are in, you're close to Atlanta. Where at in Georgia are you at?
You talking about me or Stukas?
You.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
No, you're
about
fine.
45. Yeah, I'm about 45 minutes south of Atlanta. So it can't. We're actually sort of in the path, but I think it hooked east a little bit.
Mm,
So we were lucky. Like we slept through the whole thing. The only issues that we had was the next day. We lost power like 2 or 3 times after everything fucking happened. Um, but yeah, so we were pretty lucky. I don't know if you're not familiar with Atlanta or the area, but I live in the Noonan area, which is about 45 minutes south of Atlanta.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like here in Indiana, we're getting some of it, but like I think it's just kind of the tail end. Like it's just been raining and windy for the past couple of days, but yeah, it's pretty crazy shit down there this past couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, there was
Um,
like there were thousands and thousands of people in Atlanta that were without power. I think are still without power. And it's
hmm.
fucked up. I know Florida got tore up. I know Fort Myers did for sure.
No, really.
And they were
I
kind
mean,
of
I
on the
guess whatever.
outskirts of it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one thing. Like I was saying, I never really had to worry about it or hurricanes. I'm not a big fan of the ocean for one. I've been to the ocean one time, and it was just like this overwhelmingly, I don't know, scary experience for me for some reason. I was just like, I feel like
Really?
I'm standing at the edge of the world. Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
weird. Like
that's
I
the
was just like,
point. If
but I think the thing that fucked me up was the first time I saw it. It was at night. So when you look at the ocean at night, it does feel like you're standing at the edge of the world, and you're just
yeah,
like, there's nothing out there, and I could fall into that at any moment, be sucked into nothingness, which is basically
yeah.
what would happen. I don't know. I don't like heights. I don't like water. I can't swim. I never learned to swim, so
You
that's
know,
part of the
I'm
reason.
not a swimmer either. I don't think I've ever like truly learned how to swim, but if you're
Mm.
overthinking it, man, just go,
I
you
do
know,
that a
just go
lot.
be out there. Yeah.
I do that a lot about most things in my life. I overthink it.
Yeah.
Um,
I do too, trust me.
Grande saying, "Wow, crazy record collection, Matt." There you go. A little love for that record
Thank you.
collection.
A little bit of everything in there.
Rick saying, wondering if Netflix Stranger Things season 5 will ever make it to air. I don't know. I kind of fell out of favor with Stranger Things after season 3. After season 3, I was kind of like, the story's over. Like, I'm kind of done. And season 4, it was like they're adults now. So
Yeah,
it's like,
well, yeah. They're all literally adults, but see after yeah, season 3 is when it kind of started getting um a little wacky. I don't know. It's like
mhm.
how many times can you have the kids go through here we go again, you know, it's like the
Yeah,
same fucking
exactly. At
thing
some
over and
point, it's
over and
just
over
like,
again. And it's
all
one
right.
little town, but no, when it first came out, that was an awesome fucking show. And we've been to all the
Yeah.
locations there. It's filmed all around here. You know, Atlanta's the fucking
It seems like
Hollywood of
they
the
film
South
a
now.
lot of shit around Atlanta. I know Walking Dead,
Yeah.
obviously, filmed around Atlanta.
Yep,
Um,
Walking Dead's all around here. I don't know if you're into any of that. Did you like The Walking Dead?
I'm not a big Walking Dead fan. No, I've only seen the first season, and that was
Yeah,
I was kind of like, all right, that was a fun season, but I don't really want to go any farther.
I gotcha. Yeah. So I'm not a huge Walking Dead fan anymore. I hung you know I hung in there with it for several seasons, but right around the time that the Rick Grimes character left, I was like, all right, I'm fucking done. Like I don't care
Mm,
about these people anymore, and it's cool. Like it, I'm attracted to things that are filmed near me because I can go
yeah.
visit those locations and stuff like that. But you know, that's the Stranger Things stuff. Like I've been to every fucking Stranger Things location around here, every Walking Dead location. They filmed in Sonoa, which is where I lived in high school. I lived in the town of
Hmm.
Sonoa, which is also where they filmed Pet Cemetery too. I don't know.
No, I did not.
I was obsessed with that shit when I was a kid, and so finding those places was like it blew my mind. Finding those locations from that film, but
What
yeah,
it
now that
like? It's funny. Like when I think of like visiting filming locations and stuff like that. Like there's so many that I'd love to do, like the Texas Chainsaw
yeah, that'd be
locations down
cool.
in
Yeah,
Texas, a lot on the West Coast, obviously. But it was I've been thinking about that for years now. It's like why do I like even with Dawn of the Dead? It's like why do I care? Like most people don't. Even if they're most people that are like fans of certain movies are like, yeah, I'm not taking a trip somewhere. I'm not traveling hundreds of miles to go stand in a spot where they film something for a few
yeah.
days. But like you mentioned John Vulo on Nightcast the other night, and he said something really profound that like put a lot of it into perspective. I've never really thought of it this way before, but I guess it's really true. It's like he's like, why do we study this stuff? Why are we so passionate about this stuff? He's like, I study it and I want to know everything there is to know about these movies because it's the closest I'll ever come to actually being on set.
And that's
And I
what
was
it
like,
is.
exactly. I it feels because when you're standing in a spot, you're like, George stood here,
George stood
or
right here. That's
exactly
exactly what
like
I was gonna say. George
it's in
stood
the
right
air,
here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I,
Mike Gornick was behind this camera right here.
mm-hmm,
And that's special. That's really special to see that. And to see those perspectives that you know so well on film, to see them with your own eyes in person. And you to see
exactly.
what they look like today. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much I love like then and now type shit. And
Mm-hmm. You
so
do a great
that's
job too on your That's another thing that you're super good at is like the comparison shots. Like you line it up fucking perfectly where it's just like you can see every flawless on a lot of
Yeah,
those.
thank
So I
you. It's
appreciate
it's
you for
all
that.
it's all in my head, dude. I remember every shot, and I don't even
Mhm.
need a reference. I just know what it is, and I just line it up. It just happens to work out. So, but but yeah, I think our next the
Smooth
next
criminal.
the next location I want to go to, which what's funny is going to a lot of these places. I've already been there, and sometimes you don't even realize that movies are filmed there. Like I've been to New
Yeah.
Orleans millions of times, and like my family's from there. My mom's side of the family's from New Orleans, and I've been to these places so many times, but I had no idea until several years later that like The Beyond was filmed there. Fulci's The
Yeah.
Beyond.
Mhm.
And I'm like, motherfucker, like I've been to these spots so many times, but I never knew that's where that was filmed. So now like I've got to go back and take pictures and you
Yeah.
know and
That's how it was. The movie, the Fairley Brothers Kingpin.
yeah, that
Well,
was
my all-time favorite comedy.
yeah.
It was filmed around. I didn't really know it because I wasn't because Kingpin, like I love it, but it's not one of those. It's like I got to find the locations for Kingpin type of thing.
All I can think of whenever I hear Kingpin is that fucking comb over. Bill Murray's comb over flapping in the wind when he gets all frazzled at the end of the movie. That's all I
Yeah,
can think about.
yeah, it's my all-time favorite comedy. I don't everything about it. Like I've seen it 100 times. I can still watch it and just fucking crack up. Everything still works. But it was funny because I had no idea that it was filmed around Pittsburgh. And I think it was 2022 is when I asked Larry, where's the bus garage at from Dawn of the Dead? And he was like, it's in a town called Irwin. I'm like, okay, Irwin, I'll look it up where the
Hmm.
bus garage is. So I traveled out and I took a bunch of back roads and stuff. And uh, so on the way to Irwin, I passed through, I can't remember what town it is, but I was driving through and the apartments at the beginning of
Yeah.
Kingpin where he lives and there's the big long bridge.
Yep.
um, I'm driving and I look over and I'm like, that looks so familiar. And of course, there's that long bridge. I'm like, wait. So I go across the bridge, turn around, come back, and just park on the side of the road and just start looking around. And I start Googling, looking it up, and I'm like, sure as shit, like this is it. And it's like all of a sudden you're just like, well, this is just like here. I had no fucking idea. Then I'm just
Yeah.
like, it's here. So
Yeah.
just little stuff like that's always fun. Like that was almost as fun as going like the first time that we were in Pittsburgh. That was almost as fun as visiting the mall and stuff for the first time because the mall, you're expecting it, you're going
Right.
to it, but it's like when you're in Pittsburgh and you come across those little things and you're just like, wait a minute, I know that shot. That's
Yeah.
from something like when we were riding the lift. I think it's called like the Duquesne lift or something like that.
Yeah.
If I remember
Yeah.
right. And it goes up. And as we were riding, we were just riding it because it was like, oh, let's go to the top here and look out over Pittsburgh and all that stuff. And as we were riding it, and I heard the sound of it, I was just like,
Hmm.
"This is that fucking lift from There's Always Vanilla."
Always
Because
vanilla. Yeah.
and I was
And you
just
could
like,
hear it.
"Holy shit!" I looked up, I'm like, "Yep, that's it, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it." So that's almost as fun as actually going to a spot that you actually know is like just running into shit where you're just like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit!"
Yeah, Matt Blasey is really good at that too. And when they came this past summer, I ran with them to Covington, and he was taking a bunch of in and out pictures of Doctor Sleep, which I knew was filmed out there, but I had no idea that where the exact locations were. And it was cool.
Hmm.
My wife and I were upstairs at some restaurant eating lunch, and I remember looking over the balcony and seeing Matt like fucking lining shots up and taking all these pictures, and then seeing him online later, and I was like, oh yeah, that was filmed right there. So.
Yeah, he's got
Um,
it down to a science too, I think.
well,
Because
I joked with him because I was like, because he comes down here every year to find all these locations, and I'm like, you probably know more locations in fucking Georgia than I do.
hmm
So
Oh yeah, he'll visit the locations from like any movie. Like he's got
Smokey
it.
and the Bandit, like he's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty impressive. Uh, Granny says thank you both for the kind words. Of course, man. I'm always going to be a big fan of yours. It was a pleasure meeting you, Matt, and always a great time shooting the breeze with
You
that.
too,
That's
man.
actually Living Dead Weekends where I first met Grande too. He was there visiting for the first time, and I think a couple of nights before I caught his stream because he was talking about getting to Pittsburgh and all that. And I didn't know him, but I was like, I was like, okay, so this kid's cool. I think I messaged him or something. We chatted a little bit, and then ran into him at the mall, and we just kind of talked and hung out, walked around, and and he was just blown away to be in the mall finally after all these years, like everybody else is. Um, um,
Yeah, Grande's a cool fucking guy. I like him a lot.
not sure. A lot of dark humor, it sounds like. I don't remember what that's in reference to, Rick, but big fan of dark humor. Brett, what's up, man? 1911 Guitar Dude. Hi, joining the chat late. I'll watch the rerun to see what I missed. Yeah, we're almost 50 minutes into this fucking thing. We haven't really started talking about anything. We're just kind of shooting the shit right now. So,
yeah.
Rob Lucas, what's going on, man? So, was Land of the Dead kind of George's vision for what would have been his version of Resident Evil? No, I mean, Land of the Dead is really more so like the original Day of the Dead script.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. I think Land of the Dead was more of a more attached closer to the original Day than
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Yeah.
Which it was originally Dead Reckoning, right? That's what it was called before Land of the
Yeah,
Dead.
in the 90s, he wanted, of course, he wanted to do one every decade. So he wanted to set it in the 90s and kind of just took the stuff that he cut out from the Day screenplay
Mm-hmm.
and just put it into this Dead Reckoning screenplay. And so, yeah, it's really more so of that. George's version of Resident Evil was really more so based on the video games more than anything. I mean, the characters were all pretty much the same. I think there were a few extra characters. The characters were a little different in times. Have you read the screenplay that he did for Resident Evil?
I haven't. I'm actually that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most about Brandon's documentary. I want to see if that's in there, if they touch on that. I'm sure they do, obviously, but
Mm,
I've never actually read it. I've never read it all the way through. I have the original Day, of course,
yeah,
but not Resident Evil.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty good. Just from what I remember, it's been quite a few years since I've read it, but I remember reading that fucker in like high school, sitting in the library at school, like just reading this screenplay and not doing my work as usual. Um,
It was probably closer to like the game though, right? Like more
yeah, much closer. It's more in the mansion. It's more of a
creepier
horror.
survival horror. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he even incorporated. I could be wrong about this, but I feel like I remember him even incorporating some of the like games, like the puzzle games, into the movie
Mm-hmm.
too, where like shit would open if
Yeah.
situated things. Um,
That would have been cool.
yeah, I would love to have seen it, but instead we got what we got.
Fucking hot chick action movie, right?
I guess whatever the hell that was.
Whatever we fucking call it.
Man, I remember thinking like when that movie came out, I was like, man, this is gonna be like the biggest movie ever. It's like,
Dude,
no.
I was so excited when it came out, and I remember seeing it in the theater and be like, "Oh, what the fuck was this?"
Yeah.
Like, and then the sequels, holy shit, they were terrible.
Yeah, the first one, like, I was forgiving because it was like, well, it's Resident Evil, it's a zombie movie, which they hadn't really made a fucking zombie. Like, Resident Evil introduced me to zombies as a kid. So,
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah,
there hadn't been really a zombie movie like that in forever. So it had
that
zombies
was
in
the
it. And,
attraction. Yeah, I remember I
yeah.
had the Fangoria article with the images from Resident Evil in it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I got fucking stoked about it, and then I was,
Hmm.
went and saw it. And yeah, it's cool to see the zombies, but I didn't think they executed it right. So
No, it was like the zombies were there for like one segment of the movie, pretty much. It
yeah,
was like, here's the
yeah,
zombie scene, and now we're going to move on to this poor, like, really bad CGI liquor
yeah,
thing. And you're just like,
yeah,
what? So yeah, but then when I
yeah,
saw Apocalypse, I guess was the next one. I saw that one time, and I was like, all right, I'm out. Like
yeah.
I'm done.
Done.
Yeah, it's got the Nemesis in it, and it's got more references to the game. But at that point, in like as I was a little older, and at that point in my life, I was just like, I'm moving on to better things. Like I have
Yeah,
no interest in watching any of this shit anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, good idea, Rob. He's gonna call Big Daddy Eugene Clark for the answer. He'll let you know. Granny says, if you ever visit the Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 locations, please share pictures, Matt. I'm the biggest fan of those movies. Granny's a
Yeah.
huge Sleepaway Camp fan.
I think we talked about that on the roundtable. There, so I know some people are able to get in and take some photos, but I have a cop friend that knows, I guess, people that own that property, and apparently they're pretty strict about trespassers.
Mm.
Which some people obviously don't give a shit, but I'm not getting locked up to take
Yeah.
some pictures of some kudzu and fucking swamp, because that's all it is now. Like the pool is still there. There's the pieces of the cabins that are still there. But it's so dilapidated, and like the pool is so run over, it just looks like swamp. Um, and, you know, I've thought about it. Actually, I work not too far from Waco, where they were filmed, and I've thought about sneaking out there, but like, you know, the older I get, and you know, I've got a kid and a wife now, like I don't like
Yeah.
trespassing as much as I
That's the
used
thing. Like
to.
when we
Like,
were younger, like I didn't give a shit. Like I like when I would make movies or something like that. Like I'd bring a
dude,
camera into the mall and be like, okay, take this, do this, climb up here. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
now I'm just like I don't want to start any trouble. I got bills to pay. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Back in
no
the
more
day, dude.
tripping.
Fuck a fence. I'm hopping it. Whatever I can do to get where I need to go. But
Right.
you know, but now, yeah, it's just, you know, too much at stake, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but
I
plus
don't need.
I'm
I don't need it on
honestly
my record.
well, you don't need a record, period. But
Right.
um I'm not the biggest fan of those film. I love the first Sleepaway Camp, but like the second and third one, I just, you know, whatever. So, but if I ever happen to make it out there somehow, I will take photos for fucking Grande, because that dude
There
is
you
cool as shit.
You're like I don't even like this shit, but here you go,
I'll do it
Grande.
for you, Grande.
Here,
Grande's
look,
coming with me to
check this
Braddock
swag.
next year.
There you go.
Dude, we're
Do it.
arming up. We're gonna have vests. We're gonna fucking hit the streets of Braddock. Nobody's gonna fuck with us. It's gonna be
It's not that
awesome.
bad. It's
I
not
know
that
it's not.
bad.
I know it's not. I'm kidding. I know it's not that bad.
And you actually just recently watched Lightning Over Braddock for the first time
I
too. What'd you think?
did. Dude, I thought it was so good. I loved it. I went into it thinking I was gonna be bored as shit. And by the end of it, I loved it. I was so enamored by everything that Booba did, and I
Hmm.
think he's a great filmmaker. And it was this awesome little portrait of all these little people, and these little portraits of these individual people that you wind up just like loving and rooting for at the end of this film. And
Hmm.
with the backdrop of Braddock crumbling in the back, like the post-industrial shit, and like the, you know, that post-industrial Reagan era poverty and all that shit that they were dealing with at the time,
Hmm.
and seeing the optimism that these people have,
Yeah.
and the different profiles of these people, and what's the accordion guy's name?
John Pellegrino, Steve
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino, Steve
Steve
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino. Well, fucking
Yeah.
John. Steve Pellegrino. Seeing him pop up all over the place, and then of
Hmm.
course Sal. I love Sal, dude. That guy, like, going back and watching Sweet Sal and seeing him in Lightning Over Braddock, and seeing the way that sort of playful, like, fuck you thing that they're doing, which is not real, but it's so funny because it
Yeah.
seems like it's real, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I love it. I love Sweet Sal. That was I think I like that almost more than Lightning Over Braddock, because you see he's this fucking tough guy the whole time. He's this hustler, and he's doing all this shit. And then at the very end, you just see him turn into this little boy at his father's
Hmm.
grave. And there's something so there's so much humanity in that, because it's real. It's not
Yeah.
it's not it's not a it's not a movie. It's real. And
Yeah, and me and Will were genuinely curious when we talked to Tony Booba about that last year because I wasn't sure. I was like, "Is this an act or like is this the real guy?"
yeah,
And Tony was like, "No, that is 100%. That's Sal. Like that's who he
yeah,
was till the day he died. Like because he was in like assisted living. I think I told you this. He was in assisted living
yeah.
near the end of his life, and Tony would go visit him, and he was like, "Yeah, every time I'd visit him, I'd walk in the room and Sal would look at me and be like, there's that no good son of a bitch,
Tony Salvatore, right?
Tony
No.
Salvatore."
Yeah, yeah,
He's like, ah, but yeah,
yeah.
it's and you mentioned it too. I think just in our texting about it or whatnot. Um, just Tony's sense of humor and like that
Yeah.
he puts into like even like stuff like he gave me a copy of We Are Alive, which is a little documentary about them trying to save the Braddock Hospital. And even in that, there's just little moments of just like Tony's signature humor that you're just like, okay, that's pretty funny. Like even
Oh
serious
yeah.
shit like that, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
that scene where not to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, if anybody's gonna fucking see it, but that scene where Sal stands on top of his car and he's screaming at God, "What are you
Why
doing
are
to
you doing
me?"
to me?
And the way that Tony filmed it, where he's like he keeps having to like adjust his feet to make sure he's not falling off the top of the car before he starts. That just fucking had me rolling, dude. I don't know why. And then when he blows it up and and he blows the car up. out of nothing. I don't know. It had me cracking up.
Yeah,
So
it was such a weird. It's one of those movies that I didn't know what to expect going in. I was just like, it's a Tony Boob movie. I'll check it out. I thought maybe it was just going to be like a documentary about Braddock, you know. And
yeah,
as I was watching it, I was just so confused. I was like, okay, so what's real? What's not? Like, is this guy really like this? Is this really happening? Like, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden you're seeing like Gandhi and Braddock, and that scene is
yeah,
just like mesmerizing in some weird way, where you're just like the music is just lulling you into this. I don't know, but it was
yeah.
just, I just fucking love that movie. But I'm glad you checked it
Well,
out. I'm glad you liked it, man.
oh, I love it. I've actually watched it like 3 times since I bought it. And all the
So
little
see, so
shorts.
see, for all you guys that are watching and haven't seen it, I'm not insane. You guys always talk shit about like, oh, you and your Tony Booba fetish. I'm like, no, it's fucking good. Check it out. If
It
you haven't seen Lightning
is.
Over Braddock, check it out.
It's so good. And just even the little short films about him like making pasta with one of his family members. I don't know if it's
I
his grandmother
love
or
that.
whatever.
Yeah,
Just watching them roll pasta with their fingertips, and it's like there's nothing happening, but it's just so fascinating to watch.
exactly.
Um, I don't know. There's just something so cool about it. And then you talking about in the past you've mentioned about how there's always vanilla was sort of George's love letter to Pittsburgh, and that's I feel like when I watch Tony's documentaries, I can really feel his love for his town. I love
Mm-hmm.
how much he loves Braddock. And it
Mm-hmm.
makes me want to go there. It makes me want to be involved. And I'm like I'm all the way the fuck down here in Atlanta. Like I'm not even, but I want
Yeah.
to it's like I want to do something. I don't know. Just seeing his love for his town and seeing how that's sort of like his love letter to where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fascinating and it's endearing and it's beautiful and I love it. I'm so glad that I've heard you talk about it because you're the only person I've ever heard talk about it. Um, and then I think I watched
Constantly,
like
nonstop.
yeah, I think I watched a review of the DVD. Some guy had a review on YouTube of the DVD, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. I gotta buy it. I gotta check it out. And that's when I texted you. I was like, you'll be happy
Mm.
to know that I bought this fucking thing. I'm gonna let you know. I'll report to you exactly, what I feel. And that's something that I love too, is when you go into something sort of unexpected and you walk away from it feeling different. You know what I mean? Like I felt like not changed. I'm not trying to get too deep about this, but like
I'm a changed man.
like when you see something and you're like, man, that was just really special. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what it felt like to me. So
Yeah.
yeah, if there's
Yeah, I mean,
anybody
same
that
here.
hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I get that way a lot with a lot of stuff. That was definitely one because like I like you after I saw it, I watched it again and again, a few more times like throughout that week. I was just like, man, like I didn't feel like I grasped it as much as I should have the first time, but I liked it. So I'm gonna watch it again, pick up on some more little nuances and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's cool because it kind of goes back and forth between like the playful stuff where it's obviously acting and then the stuff where they're at the protest at the church and they're talking about
or
the
fucking Sal when they're at the Jesse Jackson fucking thing, and,
yeah.
and Sal's just wandering there behind Jesse Jackson
Yeah.
through the crowd, just like
Yeah.
I'm with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really and then hearing Sal and this other guy talk about the issues that are going on and seeing Sal get animated and seeing
Hmm.
how much he cared about his town and fuck you, you wouldn't take his mic away and all that shit and
You know
I
what's
don't know.
genuinely kind of did change, and I don't want to go off go on Tony Booba too long, but fucking J. Roy,
Yeah.
the J. Roy documentary, like that kind of like live by some of his his bravado. I listened to some of it and like I think of it all the time, like the whole saying of like you have to learn to control your thinking because what you think is going to determine what you do, and what you do determines what you get in life.
When he's talking to his employees,
Yeah, and they're just like stooges, just sitting there, and the guy's just like, "Yes, sir, that's right." Just
whatever you
like
need.
it's the
I'm just going to
congregation.
I'm just going to peddle shit. Like I'm just going to make money,
Yeah,
dude. That's all I'm here for. It's
but
like
like I was just
whatever.
his way of thinking, like some of his like it's just like it makes a lot of sense.
But
Like
that philosophy that he has, people don't have that anymore. And
mm,
I think that's part of it too, is like when you see that, it's like, oh man, I almost long for that now. Like I miss
yeah,
like obviously I wasn't alive back then, but like I miss the days when people thought that way. you
Mm-hmm.
know, that ethic. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
And like you said, just his love for Braddock in that town, like him constantly like trying to get it going back the way it was, the
and
constant hope.
what broke my heart the most though was the part where he was talking about it was when Steve Pellegrino was doing the Jumpin' Jack Flash thing,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how it would cost 3 times the average salary of the regular, just a Joe Schmo Braddock citizen. It would cost 3 times their annual salary just to get the rights to play that song.
Yeah.
And
Not
he's like,
even
I don't,
play the song, but allow him to play
that's
the
what I'm
song on an accordion.
right. He's like, I'm not asking for Mick Jagger to come out here. I'm just talking about getting this fucking guy to cover the song. And it
Hmm.
still would be $15,000. What you think about it? Like 3 times the average person made 5,000 fucking dollars a year back then. Jesus Christ.
Braddock, probably,
And
yeah.
Braddock, yeah, that's
And
what I'm
you
saying.
think of inflation and stuff like that too, but yeah, it's not that much. No.
Yeah. So that really, and then hearing Tony speak about that, like that really, that movie, the film moved me. I think is
Yeah.
what I've been trying to say this whole time. Is it kind of opens your eyes to some things,
Hmm.
and and it ultimately it made me appreciate him as a filmmaker. So I really loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, everybody knows I love it. So but
Yeah. Well, I'm on board too. You got another
there
one?
we go. And
Yeah.
Paul, I just know Paul messaged me the other day, and he actually picked up the Tony's movie No Pets
I
with
haven't even heard. Yeah.
it's a movie I guess he did in the early '90s. It's I guess like a romantic comedy or something with John Amplis and Laurie Cardille as the leads. I've never seen it. I got to see it, but he just ordered it from Tony, so I'm waiting to hear
Oh,
back
awesome.
on that one. So,
Which Tony, I read the other day, Tony's like still testing positive for COVID, so I hope he's all right. I know he was like 7 or 8 days in.
oh really?
So yeah, so I hope he's doing all right. He said he hasn't gotten it up until this point. So
Hmm.
yeah,
It's you forget how old these people are. Like Tony's 80
he's
already. You
80,
don't
80 years old. Yeah,
doesn't seem like it when you meet him in person. When you look at him, like it blew me away. I was like, "How old is Tony now? He's got to be in his 60s, I guess, maybe." And it's
yeah,
like 80. I was like, "Fucking 80! Like no way. This dude's the youngest 80-year-old I think I've ever met."
yeah,
And
yeah.
he's
So
talking about wanting to do a sequel to Lightning Over Braddock too, because
it's
he's still constantly working on shit with
well,
Dubinsky a lot.
yeah. Well, I think it's been in the works. I mean, there's a trailer on Vimeo for Thunder Over Braddock that's been
Yeah.
there since like 2012 or 2013 or something like that. So I
Oh,
know
really?
he's been working on it for a long time. So I don't know. I know he said he had to get a certain amount of money before he could finish it. So I guess he
Yeah.
never got the funding. But
Well, he was talking
I
about with the AI technology bringing back Sal as like the narrator of the movie with an AI Sal. I don't know.
I don't know about that, dude. I'm trying not to even dip a toe in that shit. Like I don't. I've seen Terminator. I know where this ends. Like I don't. You know what I mean?
I know where we're
So
headed. Like
I don't
so,
mean
I
to
just
sound like a conspiracy kook, but like I don't know, dude. This shit's
it
moving
is
way
it
too
is
fast.
it is scary though.
Yeah.
It is
So
weird, but and
yeah.
it's so accessible now too. Because I was playing around with it because I was going to do like a voiceover thing for a video or for the channel. I was going to do like a voiceover with just like a professional announcer's voice, and you type in whatever and it says it, and you're like, sounds legit to me. Like you'd never fucking know.
You never know. Some of the images you can still tell are AI, but yeah, the audio is getting tough.
Yeah.
So
Synth, what's up, man? How you all out eating overpriced pizza? Good stuff. Well, enjoy your overpriced pizza, sir.
what's up, dude?
Thanks for stopping by. Grande Doors Kingpin, such a classic. Absolutely. 100% agree on that one. Jimmy G is in the house. What's up, Jimmy G? Evans City Cemetery is my favorite filming place as it has barely changed in all these details. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about Evans City Cemetery is that it looks pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, minus a
And
few
that's the beautiful thing
trees.
about cemeteries too. They don't really change. Yeah, minus some
No.
trees and
Yeah. Yeah, the trees, I guess they got taken out with that tornado a long time
Yeah.
ago, but other than that, yeah, it's still, I mean, it still looks just like it fucking did back in the day. So,
Graveyard. Granny's Graveyard said so down for the Braddock trip. Tony Booba's coming with us.
dude, that would be oh my God.
Oh,
That
I'd
would be
love that.
so cool.
He's probably already going to be there though, because I mean, he still lives in Braddock,
Yeah.
So I mean, he's probably going to be there with a camera walking up down the street somewhere.
Yeah.
You never know when you might bump into him. Since this boob was a great filmmaker and a cool, humble dude, great to meet him. Absolutely. And Rob says, I can't believe they said George was too violent for Resident Evil. Anderson is trash. Well, yeah, that was also a
Yeah.
thing, too, where people were like, where I guess the producers thought George's movie was too dark or too violent, or they wanted, more. I don't know what the hell they were looking for. Whatever they got, I guess. But, um, but yeah. So, all right. Now that we're about an hour and 10 minutes in here, you want to answer some questions?
Sure, dude. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's roll.
All right, I got 10 questions here with Matt Landrum. Number one, of course, favorite Romero film.
Oh, right off the bat, huh? Oh man. Um, Depends on what day of the week it is, I guess. I don't know. It's gonna be between day and dawn, for different reasons. Day was my introduction. That's the first Romero film that I ever saw.
Mm,
Um, Day resonates with me on certain levels. Talking about getting deep, I gravitate towards things emotionally.
mm,
Day, I saw a day at a time where I was going through some stuff in my life as a kid. Dealt with a lot of like isolation, feelings of being cut off, stuff like
mm,
that. Um, I'm not that I didn't have the greatest upbringing, but I've got some stuff that I was going through back then that I've dealt with, and seeing that film kind of helped me get through that stuff.
hmm,
Um, so I was an only child. Dad was military, police, stuff like that. Kind of a strict household, a lot of
mm,
stuff going on. You know what I mean? Not to get too deep into it, but there was a lot of isolation, and you feel that in that film. That's a very heavy film.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know that just the gore in it, like that's like I said, that's the first one that I ever rented from the mom and pop store down the street. I had like a pen pal. I think I told you a little bit about this. I had a pen pal that I was writing to. She said her favorite movie was Night, and I went tried to hunt it down. I couldn't find it, and I found Day at the video store, and I was like, oh, this has got to be something close. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I
It's just
popped it
another time
in.
of the day.
Yeah, yeah. Night Dawn and Day. They got to be connected, right? So popped it in, not even knowing who George Romero was yet, but
Mm,
popped it in, and just straight off the bat, the fucking gore had me, dude. Like
mm,
the vocal cords ripping and the eyeball popping and all that shit. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. So, um, but just even taking all that aside, that film was so like when you think of zombie horror, you don't think of films that are like deep. You know what I mean? And the
right, yeah.
acting, the acting in that film, the writing in that film, it just felt like it had something deeper going on. The acting was on a completely different fucking level. Um, so so that originally was my favorite, but over the years it's kind of shifted to Dawn,
Mm,
which I always loved. Like as soon the moment I saw Dawn, I was like, I fucking love this film. I love this movie. It's fun. It's a comic book. It's a
it's
live action
cool.
fucking. It's
It's just
fucking cool,
cool.
dude.
Like the
The
characters are cool. The dialogue is cool. It's just like,
Yeah, the goblin shit was fucking cool. Like everything was
yeah,
like upbeat, up tempo. It was like the complete opposite of Day.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, well, I think I kind of like this a little bit more. You know what I mean?
hmm,
And just who the fuck doesn't want to be locked in a mall with everything at your fingertips,
yeah. That was the
anything you could
big
ever
drawing
want.
point to me when I was younger, and when I saw it for the first time, I was just like, "This is the dream!" Like, and it's a movie that plays out. Like the beautiful thing about Dawn is like the movie should fucking end about halfway through. Like when the
Yeah,
doors, like when they lock up the doors, kill all the zombies. Like that's usually where it ends.
yeah,
But it just kept going, so you got to see them enjoy the whatever they said, the spoils of their whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
You
know
get to
what
see
you're
them
talking about.
enjoy everything. They clean up and
Yeah,
they have everything, and it's like, and that was the cool part to me, like when I was younger watching it, because it was cool, like seeing them secure them all, but then getting to see them live your fantasy. It's
yeah,
just like, this is awesome, and then it all goes to hell again, and
absolutely.
I don't know.
So seeing that, and then I think and I was going to kind of pick your brain a little bit about this too, is like, do you feel, because to me actually being able to go to the mall and see these locations, and go to these places, I feel like that sort of elevated my love even more.
Mm-hmm.
And so like right now, if you ask me, I'm gonna say Dawn of the Dead because I've been to the mall, I've been to these locations, I already love this film. I'm starting to pick out little things that I never noticed before. Like I just saw the open map print for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, holy
Mm.
shit, there's a fucking car. You can see this car over here
Yeah.
with people standing by watching them film, and like you can see the mic drop in certain
Mm-hmm.
spots that you couldn't see anywhere else. And so being able to pick that stuff out and then actually being able to go to these locations. Plus, that's where I've met a lot of my friends. You know what I mean? I've met a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my friends because of the Monroeville Mall, which is part of Dawn of the Dead. So I think right now it's good. Right now, my favorite Romero film is going to be Dawn. The roundabout fucking too long don't read is Dawn of the Dead.
Well, it's interesting that you actually started as Day of the Dead was your favorite, and then over the years transitioned to Dawn because I hear a lot more and more now where people are like, "Oh, when I was younger, Dawn was my favorite," but the older I get, the more I'm like, I like Day.
Right.
I guess the more cynical people get, the older they get. I guess so. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, and that's I mean, I still it's right there. I mean, there's like I said, depending on what day of the week it is,
Yeah.
it's still right there for me. There, it's almost neck and neck. But right now, if you ask me, it's going to be Dawn. A week from now, it might be fucking next year at the 40th anniversary. It might be Day. You know what I mean? Which that was the main thing that drew me to the Living Dead weekend 2021 was the Day of the Dead. That's the whole reason I
Hmm.
went was kind of how much I love Day of the Dead. So
Yeah. I
so
think
that's what I'm going.
yeah, pretty sure there's going to be a Day of the Dead reunion at Living Dead Weekend next year. Reanimator, I think, is going to be one that they're going to do
Really?
next year. Yeah. So,
Jeffrey Combs is going to be in Atlanta in November. Mad Monster Party. Ken Forey's coming. I just found that out tonight.
oh, really?
Tom Atkins, Adrian Barbeau. Yeah, I didn't know that all those people were going to be here in Atlanta, so that's pretty cool.
Damn.
But Reanimator, I didn't know they would. Huh?
Yeah, Reanimator. Well, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead's it's gonna be 40 years for Return of the Living
Yeah,
Dead. So yeah, from what I've been hearing, they got some pretty big plans for next year's show.
awesome.
Um, so yeah. Question two. We'll move on. Least favorite Romero film.
Bruiser, sorry. Get
Fuck
the
yeah.
fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I can't stand that piece of shit. And listen, and I say that I need to watch it again. It's been a while, but even if you take out Milo, Peter Stormare, whatever, even if you get rid of that fucking kook, like the acting in that film is garbage. Tom Atkins couldn't even save that film. The scene with
Oh,
the
come on.
listen. It's like they put him there just to put Tom Atkins in the fucking film. But the scene where the chick is in the hot tub and he's spying on him and she catches him and she turns around and she's like, "Oh, you want to see my tits here?" It just felt so, and then everything just feels so Y2K in that film, and it just makes me cringe when I watch it. I don't know. So I could change my mind. What is it about it that you like so fucking much? You know?
It's George's last personal film. It's really the first. I think it's his most personal film since Knight Riders.
That
I
makes
think
sense.
I think Bruiser George was at a point in his life where he was very angry and unhappy and not where he wanted to be in life, like the main character. So when I watch Bruiser, I watch it from almost a point of view of I'm interested to where George was at the time that he was making it in terms of screenplay, the tone of it. I mean, George even plays the voiceover of the guy that kills himself on the radio. Like that's George, like doing that
Yeah.
voice, and you would never tell, but um, so I don't know. I watch it from that aspect. I love the Misfits. I'm such a big fan of the Misfits. So when I was younger and I first saw it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this movie has the Misfits in it, and it's George Romero!" Like, I love this movie already. It's over.
Were you a punk rock dude?
Yeah, I
Were
was.
you? Yeah. I
I
got you.
had an extensive collection of Misfits shirts and hoodies, and me and my buddy Zach, who's like a pretty big time tattoo artist in Nashville now. Like in high school, we grew up, and it was just Misfits and horror and punk, and I was
Yeah.
in some punk bands, and yeah, I was a big punk rocker. So when I saw Bruiser, and the Misfits were in the end, and I love Peter Stormare. I don't care what you say. I think it's over the top. I'll admit, but I love it.
But you
It's
know
fucking
what?
entertaining and quotable.
It's bad over the top though. It's not Joe Pilato over the top. Joe Pilato over the top made sense. This is bad over the top. It was almost like, and I'm not shitting on George by any means, but it almost felt like it was like, okay, one take, got it, go. I don't. That's what it felt like with that guy.
Yeah, I mean that's what George was. George did that a lot, but I think at that point, and the new the Indicator 4K release from the UK and Bruiser there, when the interview with Jason Fleming, he actually mentions he's like, I've worked with George and I've worked with David Fincher, and two completely different filmmakers. Like George lets the actor just be, like just
Yeah,
lets the actor do his thing, and he's just like, hey, you got it, one take, let's move on.
yeah, but he used the wrong actor this time. I'm
Well,
sorry. Fuck
maybe,
that
maybe.
guy.
George liked the performance, so
So,
like I
so
hate it.
you have
But
a
people used to shit
sentimental.
on Joe Pilato's performance in Day all
That's
the time
true.
too. If you go
That's
back and
true.
watch the original Siskel and Ebert review, like they specifically point out, they're like it's so overly acted and so bad, and it's cartoonish and all this stuff.
Yeah,
But over the years, it's like it people have softened on it. They're like, oh, it's actually a pretty fucking memorable, iconic performance.
it is. But
Anyway.
if you take away your sentimental attachment, do you still would you still? I mean, I can't. Obviously, you won't be able to answer that. But if you look at it through a different perspective, like if you take that part away, that you how much you love George, the Misfits, all that stuff, do you still think it would be a good film?
Um, Obviously there's sentimental attachment. Obviously it's George, but watching it again here recently, like watching the 4K, like it looks better, it sounds better than it ever has, of course. But watching it again, it was the first time I'd really gone back and watched it all the way through in quite a while. Because all that we had before was that DVD, and the
Hmm.
DVD looks like shit. Like it's kind of hard to watch. So watching it again with a good transfer, good sound and everything, and just kind of watching it as a movie and kind of taking it in more so as a movie as opposed to just when I would watch it before, when I would just watch it with the commentaries, or I'd watch it to kind of pinpoint certain things. Um, yeah, I still think it's a good movie. I do. I think it's an underrated, low budget horror movie, I guess, what if you want to
Yeah,
call it that, from that time period, especially because there's a lot of shit at that time period too.
there
Um,
was absolutely.
but so yeah, I don't know. I do. There is definitely some sentimental attachment to it, but like I said, for me, mostly, my love for it is that it's close to. It feels like Martin in a way, not in on the same level quality wise, but in terms of like George's back to the going back and making a movie for the first time after 7 years and getting back into the groove and working with Peter Grunwald, that kind of becoming his right man the way that Rubenstein
Yeah,
was.
I can
Uh,
see that.
but,
I can 100% see that.
but I definitely see the flaws. There's definitely flaws. I do have some issues with it. Like I think the ending's a little weak, a little silly. Um,
Yeah, the thing in the mail room where he turns around and he's wearing the face again, and it just
yeah.
I don't know, man. It just didn't click with me.
Well,
Not that now I'm not trying to shit on your parade. I'm really
it's okay.
not. I'm trying to get a different
Hey,
perspective because
I
I don't like
I asked the question. When's the last time you watched it
it.
though?
It's been a while. Honestly couldn't even tell you. Like I have the VHS. I don't have the DVD. I haven't seen the new 4K. Like it's been a long time.
Okay.
So
Watch it again with fresh eyes. Maybe because I know that there's going to be a U.S. release at some point. It's going to be cleaned up. It's going to be a good release. Um, just give it another shot one of these days and let me know what you think.
so if I watch it again and it still sucks, you got to buy me a beer. How about that? Deal?
I can do that. Deal.
Okay. All
I can
right.
do that.
And if I like it, I'll buy you a beer.
Okay. Or we just buy each other a beer,
Let's just
one
buy
way
a
or the
fucking
other. Fuck
yeah.
it.
Let's just buy you a beer. Fuck it.
All right. Question 3. What is George's best film in your opinion?
Mm.
Which may not necessarily be your favorite, but technically speaking, what is his best film?
I'm gonna I'm gonna say I know a lot of people. I've heard people say Knight Riders. Um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say Martin. I think Martin is his best film. That was that point where it was almost like lightning in a bottle. You start seeing people show up. You start seeing that's where Mike Gornick shows up. That's
Hmm.
that era of time. Savini, John Amplis shows up. Um, there's that familial atmosphere that I was talking to you about. Hearing George talk about making that film and uh, how he, that's they've never eaten better in their lives because
Yeah.
Tony's mom or whoever, grandma, was upstairs cooking for him the whole time, and it just seemed like real underground filmmaking.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that aside, I love the fucking movie. I think
Hmm.
the atmosphere in that film, I think what George did with that film was incredible. There's so many different themes and undertones. There's themes of isolation that I was talking to you about,
Hmm.
themes of abandonment. There's, Martin. That's the thing about that film is I don't know, George had the ability. He made you feel sorry for this kid that is literally fucking raping and killing people and drinking their blood.
Yeah.
But why does he do that? Is it because Kuda and his family has made him believe that? And so there's this mental health thing going on underneath
Hmm.
there. And you start thinking about that stuff and how way ahead of its time it was. To me, when you incorporate all that together, and it's such a fucking sad movie. Like this the the score, Donald Rubinstein's score, so it just fucking breaks my heart every time I hear it. And when I see the movie, it breaks my heart. I feel so bad for that kid by the end of the film, even though
Yeah.
all the horrible shit that he's done is inexcusable. Um,
Yeah. That's what I
you
told
know,
when I met John Amplis for the first time. That's what I told him. I was like, your performance as Martin is brilliant because there's this kid that's literally, like you said, a murderer, a rapist, a
yeah,
peeping tom, everything you could be that society would look at and be like, that's a horrible person.
yeah,
You took that character, and by the end of it, when you die, you're just like, oh
fuck,
no,
yeah,
oh
fuck, man,
no, like, and you're right, it is such a sad movie. Like everything in that movie ends on a down note.
yeah.
Like his relationship with Christina, like it's like one of his only friends or family
And
members that
she
actually is on his side, and she just leaves and
she
never.
leaves. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The abandonment stuff, and then Abby, the one person that he actually fucking finds a connection with, fucking kills herself, and she's
yep,
out. You know what I mean?
and then
The one person that he can kind of confide in is this radio host that doesn't give a shit about him. He's trying to exploit him for himself. And
yeah,
this poor kid, and then the themes and sort of that undertow of like of religious fanaticism with Kuda.
mhm.
And you can kind of tell George was picking at that a little bit. And
Oh
there's
yeah, I
so
mean,
much.
there's trust me, there's a reason George decided to play the priest, Father Howard.
Yeah.
He wanted to play that part and kind of get that across and really
Eh,
show, like, oh, it's oh, this is very sweet, just like the little digs of just like he doesn't
well,
care, it's just
right,
more
and then
about
and then
the.
when Kuda's talking about when Kuda is showing interest in the exorcism, and you
Mhm.
see what's his name, Father. It's not Callahan. What's his name in the movie?
Father Howard.
Father Howard. When you see he's kind of like chuckling and looking back and forth, like, really? You
Yeah,
guys are
and he
fucking
starts
talking
talking
about
about
it?
the movie The Exorcist. He's just like, I don't know if you saw that movie or not, but I thought it was great.
Yeah. But then
It's
you
like,
kind of see him. He kind of shifts back to being diplomatic about it, and he's like,
yeah,
you should probably talk to Father, whatever his name is." And
Zulimus.
Zulimus. That's right. Let me let this dog out. Hold on one second.
Okay, Fulci is exiting. Thanks for stopping by, Fulch.
All right. I'm sorry.
There you go, man. But yeah, I love like I said, Martin's probably my behind Dawn, my second favorite movie ever. Period. Like I don't know. It's one
It's
of those
pretty
movies that,
incredible.
yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just such gritty guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like they shot that on like just extra like film that they had left over from doing the sports docs, and like it was
Wasn't
just
it?
pieced together, you know.
Did I hear it was filmed on like a reversal negative or some shit? Like it's I don't know how that
Uh,
works. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't know anything about that. Like
yeah, I
they
don't.
filmed it on.
It's 16 millimeter, but I mean, it was even the second sight release that they did the new transfer for and cleaned it
Mhm.
up. Like even that still looks rough. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those movies that's never going to look great
And
because
that's you said it though, because when I first saw Martin, I saw Martin on VHS when I was in high school, because I was that's when I started really diving into Romero's filmography. And when I saw Martin for the first time, I was like, this shit is fucking rough. Like I could
yeah,
not. When I first
yeah,
saw Martin, I was like, I don't like it that much. It ain't that great. But you know, of course, you know, taste changes. So
yeah. Once you
um,
get past the grittiness of it, it's there's a lot there. There's so much on the bone there, and a lot of it,
yeah,
it's like when you first watch it, it's just kind of like, God, this kid's just walking around a lot. Like it's
yeah,
just a lot of walking around and a lot of mood. It's just a total mood film.
yeah, it
Um,
is. And it's
but
so good. God
yeah,
damn, he executed that it was so well executed. I love that film.
good pick, good pick. Um, all right, question four: most underrated Romero film.
Oh, there's always Vanilla.
There you
That one
go.
doesn't get half the credit that it deserves, and it's actually my second favorite behind Martin, I think. Um, so you know, I mean, I've talked about it before. I know George has you know, I think towards the end he kind of talked about, you know, he kind of showed some appreciation for it, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know for years and years he shit all over that thing, and I can understand why to a certain extent, but at the same time, like I love that film. It moved me the same way that Lightning Over Braddock moved me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I went into it thinking I was going to be seeing some piece of shit like romantic comedy.
yeah.
And by the end of it, I was in tears. You know what I mean? Like
It's
when they released those balloons at the end of the film, I'm just like, oh my god, that was perfect. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I've heard somebody recently say, or I read somewhere recently where they described it as not a romantic comedy, but a like a situational drama or something like that, which fit better to me. I
yeah.
didn't
That
think it
sounds
was a
better.
romantic
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
you
didn't know
know,
anything really too much about it. Like when I first saw it, because it was that one movie, that one Romero film that, like, for years and years and years, were just like, oh, it's just this lost film that never really talks
right?
about. And it's just like, who knows? And then when you watch it, you're just kind of like, well, it's not a horror movie. It's different, but it's kind of cool. And it really hit me because when I first saw it, I was in high school, so I identified with that character, the Ray Lane's character. I was
Right.
Chris. I was like, yeah, I'm like this guy. Like he's got all the answers, and he's too cool for school, and he ain't got time to be fucking with these job applications and shit. It's just
Yeah.
like, but by the end of it, it's like he's back where he began. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like the great line. It's like, where does it start? Where it's just like, you go to Baskin Robbins and you got 31 flavors, you got all this to choose from, but at the end of the day, there's always vanilla. Like
Yeah.
there's no matter what, there's always vanilla. You can always go back. It's still ice cream. It may not be, chocolate chip or
Yeah.
whatever, but and then his
Well,
response is always
what about the guy that gets stuck on butter pecan though? You know?
exactly, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, what do you do with that
So
guy? I was just like, yeah, that's me. But yeah, I fell in love with that movie the first time I saw it too. I was just like,
me too.
yeah,
Yeah. And there's some father stuff going on there,
mm-hmm,
some father son things, you know, like throughout the whole film. He's narrating to the camera, but then you find out at the end he's actually been talking to his dad the whole time.
yeah,
And I thought that was really cool. I really liked how they did that. I guess Rudy Ritchie. I like the writing. I just thought it was a great film. I thought it was well executed. I understand George's perspective. You know, he felt like he was more of an editor than a director because he didn't write it. It wasn't his film.
yeah.
Um, but um, but I really appreciated that. I liked it a lot. It tugged at my heartstrings, and uh, and that's what I look for in movies. So I would
Yeah.
probably put that as his most underrated. I don't think it gets the attention that it deserves. There's so much cool stuff in it. Fucking Ray Lane. I wish that guy would have done other things besides Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
I know he was a teacher and I think he did some stage stuff,
Yeah,
but
he used to do a lot of local stuff at the Pittsburgh Playhouse with Amplis. Like him and Amplis worked together for years and years and years. They were really good friends.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but yeah,
great movie. And if nobody's picked it up, it's what Arrow put it out on Blu-ray, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You can find it on Amazon. I mean, it's super cheap. Just get it.
yeah. Give it a shot, and that's the thing. I think that's why it doesn't get the credit that it deserves because it's a Romero film. It's kind of a film that nobody's really ever talked about. But it's also not a horror film, so Romero's horror fans are just like, it's who cares about that, you know? But
Yeah, but you see everybody from Night in it. You know what I mean? You see Russ
yeah,
Strider in it. You see
yeah.
Bill Heinzman's in it. I mean, there's
John
all these
Russo,
people. John Russo's
Russo's
in
in
it.
it. Fucking George Casana, his performance, his little
Yeah.
George Casana, the fucking sheriff from Night of the Living Dead, gives this speech in this dark car to Judith Ridley about all right, how this is what's going to happen. You're going to go in here. We're going to give you a little bit of this, and we're going to make a hole, and you're going to have a little abortion. It's just like the most disturbing fucking thing, and he's just saying it just blankly, just like I've done this 100 times,
Hmm.
and it's just like this disturbing monologue that he gives in the back. It's just like,
And then he's chasing her around.
yeah, and you're just like it's the fucking sheriff from Night of the Living Dead. It's like
Yeah.
what happened to that guy?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's a good one. Um, let's see. Favorite performance in a Romero film? Question 5.
Oh shit. Dude. Um I've always been fond of Scott Reiniger's role as Roger. I
Mm-hmm.
think he did an excellent job. What I like the most, and I'm not saying he's my favorite, I'm getting there, but what I like about what he did in Dawn was his slow mental deterioration. Like even from the very beginning when he's at the projects
Mm-hmm.
and the shit with Wooly and everything, and you see him kind of turn to the side and the look on his face, and then um, when they get to the airport and you see Jim Crut get his head taken off, you just see Scott kind of look up at the blades real slowly, and while he's still pumping gas,
Yeah.
and so you're seeing this slow, and nobody else did that. They didn't. George didn't focus on anybody else that
Mm-hmm.
way, all the way up to the point. And then there's the scene where they're running the trucks, and you see the zombie kind of slowly rub his face, and just the look on his face, that terror on his face, you can see
Mm-hmm.
he's just broken at this point. He's just mentally broken, and then he's fucking yeehawing and shit in the truck, and Peter's like, bro, you better fucking chill out. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
you see that slow deterioration and where it led him, and ultimately, getting bitten and then turning. And even that, you see, watching him after he's been bitten, the way that he starts to really deteriorate,
Yeah.
and his job, the way that he acted in that, I love that. I've always loved that. And so I'm gonna say Scott Reiniger is pretty close. I liked what is it Jason Begay from Monkey Shines.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked him a lot in Monkey Shines. Every time he's on the screen, like I said, he's just super emotive. He's in a
Mm-hmm.
wheelchair. He can't do a whole lot, so he's got to act a lot with his face. I
Yeah.
really liked what he did. I love Ray Lane. I loved what he did in Always Vanilla and Season of the Witch. I think he did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
That whole scene where he's fucking with Jan White's friend with
Yeah.
the weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Anne Muffley
Yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That whole thing was really smart. I liked the dialogue in that.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a really good job playing an asshole, whereas in the previous, Always Vanilla, he was an asshole, but he wasn't that much of an asshole.
Yeah. He was a
Um,
charming asshole.
yeah. But in that scene in Always Vanilla, curious about grass, curious about the effects of grass. I just really
Yeah.
like that a lot. I don't know, it made me smile, um, but I'm gonna say for me, and I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No,
My
you're good, man.
my choice, who I'm gonna choose as the best performance, I'm going with Laurie Cardeal from Day of the Dead. Um,
Ooh.
she does so well trying to hold shit together through that whole movie, but you can still see the cracks.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's the scene where this is the scene of the movie that always fucking breaks me, and it's part of the reason. I don't know if this is one of your questions too, but it's part of the reason why the John Williams score is my favorite. It's my favorite Romero score is the John Williams score. It's the
The
scene
Harrison.
where I'm sorry, John Harrison, not this isn't fucking Star Wars. John Harrison, dude, I'm sorry, I'm not a
You're good.
poser, I promise.
You're good.
Um, I'm going off the rails here, but like the scene where she's cutting Miguel's arm off.
Mm-hmm.
and then they're trying to cauterize it, and you see the flames, and you see her eyes behind the flames, and there's just this sense of urgency. And John Harrison's breakdown, that song, yeah, John Harrison, the
Yeah, you got it.
breakdown, that song breakdown is playing in the background. Dude, I swear that's my favorite soundtrack. I got him to sign it. I know who the fuck I'm talking about. But that's playing in the background, and you can see her eyes behind the flames, and then all the shit with Rose that happens after that. And she's like, I think I got it. Everything's cool. And then she turns and just fucking collapses. And there's that scene where she just breaks down and just that guttural scream.
Yeah, where she's
I
been kind of
dude,
holding it in for who knows how long, and then she's
yeah,
just at her breaking point. Yeah, I agree. I mean, she won the what was it? She won an award somewhere for that, for her performance in that. Can't remember
yeah.
what,
I don't know what she won, but
but
yeah,
yeah,
it's and yeah, the way that she just kind of collapses into to John's arms and just breaks down, and he's holding her, and just the look on her face, she just did such a phenomenal fucking job in that.
yeah.
So I'll say I think that's my favorite role. I think that's my favorite acting role.
It's interesting because I'm pretty sure most of the people that I've had on here to do these when it comes to favorite performance, it usually goes back to Day of the Dead. It's either Joe Pilato, Laurie Cardille. Me personally, probably my favorite performance. Maybe it's between John Amplis and Martin and Howard Sherman as Bub in Day of the Dead.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even think about that. He
Like
did,
Howard
yeah,
Sherman is so fucking good. It's like
yeah.
he doesn't say anything, but you feel so. It's like you said, you feel for him, and then it's like you get emotionally attached to this zombie in
Mm-hmm.
this zombie movie. So when he
Yep.
breaks down, he sees fucking Frankenstein laying on the floor with bullet hole, and realizes that he's dead. He starts, this breaking in, like you said, the fucking music cue from John
Yeah.
Williams or John Harrison, one of those guys.
Fuck you.
The the music cue there, the it's fucking perfect. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Day of the Dead. I
Beautiful.
mean, it's going all the way back to people talking about the overacting and shit back in the day. It's like it's come back around where people are like, man, actually, it's pretty fucking brilliantly acted, pretty much
Yeah.
all the way around.
Oh yeah.
Um, Let me hit some of these comments here real quick, and we'll finish up this list here. Don't get too far behind. Let's see, it's in Don 78 for the win as always. I guess his favorite Romero film. But he does agree with you to a point. Bruiser is really rough.
Yeah, it's tough,
So
man. It's tough to watch.
it's not for everybody. Not for everybody.
Yeah.
Not for
Acquired
everybody.
taste.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. We got some hellos. Rick saying not to get off subject with Romero. One of the best non-Romero zombie movies was a relatively recent one, State of Emergency. Have you seen that? I have not.
I have not seen that one. I haven't really messed with a lot of recent zombie films actually.
Yeah, I haven't either. I don't feel like we see very many new ones other than like straight to
Straight to DVD
streaming.
pieces of
Like
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
the last one I saw was that Festival of the Living Dead, and that's enough that'll to drive you off from watching anything with zombies in it for at least a year.
No, never
You
seen it.
don't don't waste your
I'm
time.
not I'm not. Thank you
But
for yeah.
but that's actually funny. It's a good segue into question 6 here. Favorite non-Romero zombie film?
Oh, I'm going Delamore, Cemetery Man. That's
Ooh, okay.
the fucking best, dude. That was it's such a beautifully shot film. It's the most beautiful zombie film you'll ever see. The most artistic zombie film you'll ever see. It's got everything. It's got gore. It's like a philosophical zombie film. I don't know. You have to watch it for yourself to kind of understand what I'm talking about.
I've seen it
Um,
once. It's one of those movies that I remember my cousin Justin. We were both the horror. Like we grew up watching
yeah.
action movies and horror and
hmm
stuff. And the first time he saw it, I think he saw it on like Showtime or something like late
Yeah,
at
that's where I
night.
saw. Yeah, that's where I saw it. It was late at night. It was either HBO or Showtime. That's the first time I saw it, like 97, 98, something like
Yeah,
that.
this would have probably been late '90s
Yeah,
that he had seen, and he told me like when next night he's like, "Dude, Cemetery Man, you got to watch that." And I'm like, "Okay." And I always kept it back in my mind, but it was one of those movies that like I never really crossed paths with too much, where I could check it out. Like I wasn't,
yeah. There's a
So
lot going
it
on
wasn't
though.
until years later that I found it.
There's a lot going on. There's like this weird stuff where he's like impotent the whole time, and but then he meets this there's a person that dies, and like his wife shows up, and he falls in love with the wife, and all of a sudden he's like feeling sexy again. I don't know. There's a weird. There's a lot of. It's Italian. I'll put it that way. It's very
Yeah,
Italian.
yeah. And
It's Italian horror.
it's fucking Michelle Soave too.
Yeah,
The from the
How do you say it? Michele Suave or Michele Sovi or what the fuck
yeah, I don't know how
ever.
the fuck you pronounce it. I've always just said Michelle. I'm like Michelle Soave. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, yeah. He worked. He worked a lot with Fulci. I think he did some shit with Argento.
Oh yeah.
Um, so he had a real eye for it, and that was just an excellent film. Start to finish, I love that thing. I couldn't find it for years. There was no release. I think I have some kind of, it's down here somewhere, some kind of foreign release that I was never actually able to watch that I found because it was like a
Yeah, that
region 2 or some shit.
yeah, that was always the issue why it took me so long to see it because I think Anchor Bay did a DVD release of it years ago, like
Yeah,
probably late 90s, early 2000s, and it went out of print pretty fast, so you really never saw it.
yeah,
And I think I've seen it recently. Like you'll see even just the Anchor Bay DVD just because it's out of print out in the wild and
yeah,
it's going for like $50 or something ridiculous. Or I was
yeah.
just like, hey, they just who just recently did that? Was it
Severin. They've got
Severin?
the
There you
four
go.
disc 4K. I literally just fucking picked it. I haven't even watched it yet.
Mm,
But yeah, this is my probably my favorite. Next to probably City of the Living Dead. I think that's right there next to it. I love Zombie, and I think The Beyond was actually the first Fulci film that I saw. I think, um, but City of the Living Dead, that's probably going to be right there next to Cemetery Man. But that's going to be the one.
mm.
Delmore Murray, Cemetery Man. Yeah, for sure.
Wasn't expecting that one. That's a good one though.
So good,
Another
dude. You
one
got it. You
that's
got it. Yeah.
pretty
Go
underrated.
go see it again. Yeah, I know you said you've seen it once, but go watch it again, man.
I'd
I'm
love
telling
to
you, you'll
get
love
that.
it.
I'd love to get that Severin release, but man, it's like that's the thing about like these boutique labels. It's like they release all these movies that I'd love to have and love to see, but it's like if you don't get the big fucking $60 box set version, it's just like it's like I guess they do standard editions every now and then of certain things, but
Yeah, they've
those are
got they've got
still
it in
even
a.
pretty
I think there's
pricey.
a 2 disc that they've got, but I love it, so I went all in for the 4 disc. I had to have it. So
There's a good question. Rick Northwing Llama says, "So both of you have actually met director George Romero. I have. Have you, Matt? I don't
I
think you
have
have.
not. No, we talked about that last time. I never
Mm,
had the opportunity to meet George. Never got the opportunity, unfortunately. So
yeah, that's. I did one time. I took a trip all the way to Dallas, Texas, to do it, but I just wasn't. I mean, he did conventions and stuff all the time, but I just wouldn't big into conventions too much back in the day.
yeah, I didn't go to my first convention until, like I said, five years. It's actually 5 years ago today. Days of the Dead, Charlotte.
Mm,
I went up there and I met Savini and Tony Todd and Kane Hodder for the first time. But yeah, before that, I'd never been to a convention. And when I was a kid, I knew they did stuff at the mall and up this way or up that
mm.
way in Pittsburgh. But I just never, like when I was a kid, it was always like that's I'll never make it up there. That's too far.
I
So
know it's
which is why,
crazy now. Like I
yeah,
go like once a year now, but like for years and years and years, it was just like, oh, that's another world. Like I'll never make it
yeah,
there.
it's
Like
way too far away.
yeah, there's no
So
friggin' way. I'd have to fly there.
yeah,
Now I just drive, and it's just
yeah,
like like I know where everything, like all the stops on the way there. Like I
hmm
know, like okay, I know I can take a piss here. Oh, there's a nice bathroom to take a shit. Like I keep this in mind. So now it's just like doesn't feel like any time at all when you're traveling there.
yeah,
But when you're a kid, it's just like, oh, like that'd be like going to Mars or something like that. That would
yeah,
never happen.
too far out
Um,
there.
Steven Fernandez, what's going on, man? Day of the Dead is my ultimate favorite. Also, I just saw Season of the Witch. I was impressed with the color scheme, story, and costumes. Some A24 horror movies definitely been inspired by it. I agree with that. I
I
think,
agree. Yeah,
yeah, I think Season of the Witch. I think Martin, to an extent, feels like an original, like one of the early A24 films or
all
something like
that
that.
all that walking around and shit. That's
Yeah,
totally A24.
it's fucking. What was that movie that came out this year? Did you see?
Oh, we talked about
What's it
that
called?
too. A Violent Nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I never saw it. I don't want to see it.
Man,
Just Jason walking around for 2 hours. I don't give a shit.
pretty much. I love the funny thing about that movie is if it was like if it wasn't in a violent nature, if it was just A24 presents Friday the 13th and that
Right.
was what it was, I would probably like it. Because I'd be like, oh, this is so different and weird. It's a different perspective for a Friday the 13th movie
Hmm.
that I think it would work. But I don't know. Um, Robert Harbert's the second. What's up, man? Hello, just popping in to say hi. I'm at work. Can't watch it live, unfortunately, but I'll watch it later. Have a great night, everyone. Well, thanks for popping in, man. Have a great great rest of the night at work. Um, if you can do that, some people can, some people can't. Since saying, yeah, Martin looks rough, like the original Evil Dead, 16 millimeter grunge. Yeah, I mean, it looks even weird. It looks worse than Evil Dead to me.
Yeah, but that second side cut, that it did look really good to me. I love that set.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of throws Martin's look off a little bit to some people is that it was filmed to, I mean, it was originally supposed to be in black and white. Like George wanted it
Right.
to be a black and white film, so they kind of lit it to be black and white. So you'll notice in some shots, like it's really like the lighting is a little too hot in
Hmm.
spots, but like if you watch it in black and white, it's like, oh, this kind of makes sense the way they
It
lit
makes
this. Like it
sense.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Sean, what's up, man? Sean Scar, Shard. Can't even read anymore, guys. Sean, Scarred God, Skowski, what's up, man? Sorry. Better late than never. No worries, man. Glad you could stop in. Here we go. Ray Lane fan club here with Sent.
What's up,
Yeah.
bro? Absolutely.
It's funny. I remember reading, I don't remember where the hell I read this or where I heard it from, but Ray Lane, from what I remember, Ray Lane was originally supposed to be the lead in Dawn of the Dead.
Really? I didn't. I've
Yeah.
never heard that.
I don't remember where the fuck I've heard that, but I have heard that. I swear to God. In
Huh.
George's original script, the original idea when he did his first treatment for Dawn of the Dead in the early 70s, or I guess it had been early to mid 70s.
Yeah.
His original idea, because it was only going to be the two characters, it was only going to be Steven and Fran.
Hmm.
And Steven, he was going to be played by Ray Lane. I don't remember who was supposed to be Fran, but that's always what I've heard. I don't know. I can't rememor exactly where I heard that from, but
I
that
wonder
makes
who would
sense
know.
in
I
the
wonder if
time
there's
period.
anybody that would know that. You think Mike Ornick or anybody would know that?
Gornick might, because he was around, because that would have been right around the time. It had been after the Crazies and right around the time of the sports docs, and that's when Gornick started working with George. So he
Yeah.
might, that might be a question for him, but that would have been interesting to see Ray Lane as Flyboy.
That would be cool. Well, I mean, be interesting. I don't know. I've
Interesting.
never. I'd have to think about it. I have to think about it for a little while.
Yeah. Good vanilla can be the best. Not plain at all. I agree. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for a vanilla cone.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. Rick saying, as much as I love the original Dawn 1978, I would really would watch Day of the Dead 1985 over the latter, only because Laurie Cardio portrayed such a strong female likable character as Sarah. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
she definitely carries that movie. She's really one of the only people in that movie that you like that are
Well, I don't know.
actually
That's sort of the cool
likable.
thing about that film, though, is like John and McDermott. They start out kind of being you kind of have this idea that they're kind of these slackers that don't want to do shit, and by the end of the movie, they're the guys that step up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like them more than anybody, really.
What do you think about the theory that they were gay?
I've never heard of that.
You've never heard that?
Never heard that. No.
Oh, okay. So Joe Bob on his whatever it's called now, the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs or whatever, he played Day of the Dead one night and actually had Lori, Terry, and Jarlath come in and do an interview. And he brought that up and it started like this whole thing. And he was pointing out like these different moments, these looks that they would give each other. And it was just like, so there's always been that in the back of my mind. It's like, I've heard people ask over the years, like, do you think because they lived together in that little trailer,
That's
like,
interesting to think about. I've never thought about that. And if that was the case, so be it. But
yeah.
they could have just known each other really well. I mean, I don't know. You got buds bunking together all the time, but if they were gay, they were gay. It is what it
Yeah.
is. I've never thought about that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's going to be a long winter.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what? Now I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it made sense. I hadn't heard that up until I saw the interview with Joe Bob. But when Joe Bob started pointing out all this stuff, and it was just kind of like, yeah, there could have. And even by the end of it, Terry and Jarlath are just both kind of like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I guess we were,
Well, you
and
know
they
what? I
just
don't know. Was McDermott? I kind of got the vibe that he was Catholic, right? I don't know. That I feel like there would be something there.
well,
Like I don't know if that.
he was a drunken Irishman, and those are
Yeah,
usually Catholics. So yeah, it makes sense.
yeah. I just feel like, especially back in the '80s, I just feel like at that time, I feel like it would have been frowned upon. But then again, it's the end of the fucking world, so do what you want. Who knows?
There you go. That means you're a caveman, asshole. You're a
Caveman's
fucking
all got
throwback.
throwbacks all got big dicks.
Oh man. That's like I think that's Will's favorite quote from any movie ever. He says
That's
that
great.
all fucking time.
I'm
It's
still
fucking
I'm still
hilarious.
trying to think whenever I pull the trigger on a Day of the Dead tattoo. I'm still trying to think about what quote I'm gonna get. I have no idea. If I even pull, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Just get throwback and then an arrow pointing to me.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Oh man. Which
Um,
did you not to pull you back up? So you were? I remember seeing one of your streams where you were talking about getting that barcode tattoo. Are you still gonna do that? Are you thinking about that?
yeah, I've thought about it. That one and the fucking I said the Martin cover with
Yeah,
the
dude.
razor blade, the fangs, made in the USA. I would. That's my next one. If I next time I get a tattoo, that's it. Like that's what I
That's
want.
what. Yeah, you got to do that. I would love
So
to see that. That would be so fucking cool. Because you've got a Dawn tattoo, right?
yeah, yeah, that was the first tattoo I ever got. Right when I turned 18, I told my parents, I'm like, when I turn 18, I'm going to get a Dawn of the Dead tattoo. And they
That's
were like,
cool.
yeah, okay, whatever. And then, sure shit,
You
I come
did it.
home and I'm just like, hey, check this out. And they're like, you really did it. Okay. I'm like,
What did
yeah,
you
there it
do?
is. And my friend that I was mentioned earlier, the tattoo artist in Nashville, is actually the one that did. He was an apprentice at the time, and he did it for free. He was just like, "Let me just practice on you," and I'm like, "All right." It turned out all right. I mean, it's not great or anything, but it is what it is.
Let's
It's a
see it.
Dawn
Can
of
you
the Dead
show? I
tattoo.
haven't. Let's see it.
It's been years, so it's a little faded, but
Oh, who cares?
it's just
Hell yeah,
the
dude.
Dawn logo there on the arm.
That's a real fan right there. That's a true
Yeah.
fucking fan. Tried and true.
As soon as it was legal to do so, I had it permanently stamped on my skin. So there you
That's awesome.
go.
Fun bit of trivia. My first tattoo that I ever got was a fucking Nine Inch Nails tattoo, and it is gone now.
Oh, you got
It's
what was it?
it's covered up. It was the I don't know. Are you a fan of Nine Inch Nails?
Oh yeah.
So it was the broken logo is the upside down or the backwards N with the blue flame on it, and
Hmm.
then I got fixed on this arm. So day I turned 18. That's what I did. So, but of course, over the years, things have changed. Tastes change,
Yeah.
and so I had to get him covered up. So, but don't ever
Yeah.
cover that one up.
No, that won't get covered. I might get it touched up here and there at some
Yeah,
point. But yeah, probably the one that I'd like to get covered up is that one. It's the
I
Mark
can't
of
even.
Thorn
Oh yeah. Oh my God, you get the
from
Mark of
the
Thorn from part
Halloween
six.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. That one, when I got that one, I was like really into Halloween at that time, and I was just wanting something little on my wrist there, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
that's perfect, Mark of Thorn." But now looking back on, it, I'm like, I could do something else there. Like it's, eh.
You could turn that into something else. It's still, in my opinion, that's still a cool tattoo. I love like that for a long time. That was my favorite Halloween film. Was part six, The Curse. I
Hmm.
loved that fucking film.
That was the first one I remember watching when I was younger, because that one came out in '95, so I would have been 6 probably when that came out. And
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
back
my
when. Go ahead.
I
I'm
remember my
sorry.
parents bought it on pay per view.
Yeah.
And watching it in the living room with my parents. My parents were like, "Oh, this is the new Halloween movie, and it's Michael Myers, and it's scary. So if you need to leave or don't look away, whatever." So I remember watching it, and that was the first time seeing Michael Myers or any of that, any Halloween movie. So that one's
Hmm.
always had a special place, just in terms of just being my introduction to Halloween.
I used to do. I couldn't wait for October when I was a kid because every Halloween they would play around Halloween on USA. They would play all the Friday the 13th, all
Hmm.
the Halloween films. Like that's where I started watching all those. But yeah, part six is pretty cool. I mean, you could turn that into something, but I still think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, just touch it up a little bit because like I said, it was basically just a freehand, like, all right, so here and here. It's pretty fucking simple, but it
Yeah.
still looks like it still kind of looks like a prison tattoo, but it is what it is. Um,
I've got a couple of those. I've had a lot of them covered up, but I've got a couple of those that look like prison tattoos. They're not actually prison tattoos.
well, you don't have the teardrop yet, so
No tear dot, no, no cross. I'm working on my neck a little bit, but I'm not gonna go full
it's
fucking
it's
neck tat.
creeping
Yeah.
in. You're
Yeah.
going Post
I
Malone, man.
I told my wife I'm staying behind the ears. Everything's behind the ears, nothing up here. So
Just so you can look somewhat professional straight ahead,
right.
just in case
So
you ever need to.
I can wear a collar, like my sleeves still, So
That's right. That's right. Um, try to catch up. Let's see. We still got. Let's go with another question here. I'll catch up with
okay.
some more comments here in just a second. So, okay, here we go. Here's a reverse take on that last question. Question 7: favorite non-zombie. Wait a minute. Nah, fuck that. That's a stupid question. You said Martin. We
Yeah. Martin or there's
already
always
answered that.
vanilla. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay. Question 8: favorite score or soundtrack? Romero related score or
Day,
soundtrack?
John Williams,
John
right?
Williams.
Day of the Dead, absolutely, 100%. So that was the I love how it's incorporated in the film. That was my first vinyl record that I ever owned when I was like 13 or 14. I didn't even have a record player. I just got it to have it as a collectible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one I got him to sign at Living Dead Weekend. So I thought that
Oh,
was really
cool.
special. Um, but yeah, a lot of people shit on it. They talk about that sort of tropical flavor that it's got.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it. Even when you take that part out, the elements that we were talking about, like the scene with Sarah, the breakdown, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, those certain cues, um, they feel so good, and it's so 80s. Like I love synth music.
Yeah.
I would love to pick synth's brain about some of this stuff sometime, but I love synth driven scores and music and stuff like that, and it's just my favorite. I love it so much. And then I love the goblin stuff a lot, but there are elements of it that I'm not really that feel dated, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get
Um,
what you're saying, especially like some of the stuff that they used for the Argento cut. Like some of that
yeah,
stuff's a little,
yeah. Which
but
again, I still appreciate it and I still like it a lot. I've got like 15 fucking versions of it on vinyl.
mhm,
Um, outside of the waxwork stuff, but yeah, the Day of the Dead score. And then what was funny is we were watching talking about Stranger Things. We were watching Stranger Things season 3, and they actually had one of the tracks from Day of the Dead in it. And
yeah. Well, they're
I looked at my
playing
wife.
they're in the theater watching Day
Yeah,
of
they're
the
watching
Dead
Day
at
of
the
the
beginning
Dead.
of that season. Yeah.
What the cool thing about that too was I actually visited the mall where they filmed for Stranger Things 3.
Oh,
And
really?
I was able to see the Day of the Dead poster on the wall. I was like, man, I tried to get pictures of it,
Oh,
but
that's pretty cool.
the security had ramped up so hard because there were actually security guards that were being paid to let people in and break like take shit and take photos and stuff like that. So they really
Damn.
kind of cracked down on that stuff. So by the time I got there, security was like fucking so like rock hard. Like you couldn't get through.
Mm.
So I had to like peek through a store window to see the Day of the Dead poster on the wall.
I'm
But
just trying to look at a poster. That's all I want to do.
yeah, yeah. So, but
No homo.
hearing that score was really cool. Hearing part of that score in Stranger Things 3, that was pretty neat. But
Yeah, I've
yeah, that's
always
good.
loved that score. Like the
Yeah,
to me the quintessential. I don't know. Like when in my mind, like if I don't know, maybe I'm mentally ill or something. But sometimes if I feel like I'm in a situation where it would be a perfect setting for a zombie movie, the music that plays in my head is at the music from the beginning where it's dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun, 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 dun.
yeah.
I'm like, that's perfect. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a great, and it's really the only. Night was mostly uh, pre-recorded music.
Like
Dawn
library
was
cues and shit. Yeah,
Yeah, Dawn same way. Day was like the first one that actually was like a wall-to-wall score that was like
right.
scored to the movie. So you got those good music cues there, like that uh, emphasize like the emotional cues and shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Um, so yeah, it works great that way. So that's a you can't go wrong with that one.
Yeah. And
But I mean,
like I said,
even
get
Creepshow. I mean, Harrison's scores in general are two of the most iconic horror scores ever between
oh,
Day and
absolutely.
Creepshow.
Yeah. I think that wasn't that Synth's favorite was Creepshow, or was that your favorite? I can't remember.
um, I can't remember. I think somebody did pick Creepshow.
I want to
Synth
say
picked.
it was
I remember Synth
yeah.
picked Creepshow as George's best movie in terms of technical
Maybe that's what I'm
crimes.
thinking. Yeah, maybe
But
that's what I'm thinking.
I
But yeah,
mean,
getting John Harrison to sign that record meant a lot. That was really cool. I got a picture of me and him and my kid. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
that was really neat. He's the only one I'll have sign it to. I'm not going to get like the cast or anybody.
Same. I
So
got mine framed and put up back here because I got the original signed by John too. So
yeah,
that's all I need.
yep.
Uh, okay, so flip that. Favorite non-Romero score or soundtrack?
Oh God, Fred Myro, Malcolm Seagrave or Seagrove, Phantasm. It's the Phantasm soundtrack. Um,
That's yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I rewatched Phantasm last night with my daughter.
Okay.
She's almost 4. She can handle it, damn it. And she enjoyed it. But I watched
She
it again and I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, this is a fucking genius score from like start to finish. Like
perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
And what
I'm
a
glad
great,
that's
great fucking movie too. I mean, it's
yeah.
such to me like it hit me last night. I was like, this just feels like the American version of Suspiria.
It
It's just
is.
it's all one big dream. Every scene is just something straight out of a nightmare. Like
It
even
is.
simple shit like when you see the tall man walking down the road and Michael's just sitting there with that lollipop just watching him and he
Yep.
just stops and he looks and he
Yep.
does the thing and then he just turns back and just walks. That just the guy turning and looking at you is something that's like I've had that nightmare before.
Yep.
Not just him, but just a person staring at you from
Absolutely.
across the road and it's just like god damn, it's fucking brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's always been outside of George Romero, that's always been my absolute number one fucking favorite is Phantasm. That was another one of those that kind of came into my life when I was a kid, like 13, 14, kind of figuring things out, like just really kind of understanding like death and stuff like that and what it meant.
Hmm.
And then, seeing Mike and kind of how he dealt with that stuff. More themes of like, isolation, abandonment, all the, his parents are gone, everything that's happened with him.
Yeah.
um I just that movie really fucking hit hard with me, and I made some pretty good friends through that film too. I made a lot of online friends. My buddy Pete, he plays in a band, Protagonist. He's like my longest online friend I've ever had. 20, what fuck, we were like 14 years old when we
You
met
guys
each other.
met
So
on MSN Messenger,
AOL Messenger,
right?
absolutely.
Hey,
I had a Phantasm fan webpage, the Red Planet.
mhm.
When I actually had Reggie Banisher come on and do a chat
Oh, that's
on my
cool.
little chat. Yeah, yeah, it was so
Damn.
fucking cool, man. Um, Way back in the day. So, but yeah, that soundtrack. I remember my freshman year of high school. I transferred. It was like I did one semester at one school and then I transferred to another school for the second semester of my freshman year. And I remember meeting all these friends and they're like, cool, check out these bands. This is like late 98, early
Mhm.
99. Check out these bands you're gonna like. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I listen to this is the Phantasm soundtrack. And they're all like, what the fuck are you, you know what I mean, like what is this shit? So
Yeah, I was
so
that
I
kid too. I was sitting on the
yeah.
bus with the fucking the portable CD player. And I always
Hmm.
had like it was usually like burned. I would just steal shit off like LimeWire or Winamax or something
Yeah.
like that, and I would just look up movie soundtrack scores. The Candyman score from
Yeah.
Philip Glass. Is that his
Philip
name?
Glass, yeah, dude, that is such a good soundtrack, so good.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Creepy as
But yeah,
shit.
I was that kid sitting on the bus listening to fucking horror soundtracks, and people were like,
Yep.
"What are you listening to, Mike?" I'm like, "I listen to this," and they're just like, "The fuck is this?" Like,
Yep.
yeah.
That's one I still don't own the original on vinyl. I have the one that I think it's Mondo put out a long
Hmm.
time ago. I have that one, but I don't have the original. That's one I'm still trying to hunt down. But yeah, it just means something special to me. I love that. I love that soundtrack. I love that film. So
And I still
and
feel
then
like that movie, even still, is a little underrated. like even amongst like horror fans. Like it never gets the recognition, I don't think. Like it should be up there with The Shining to me. Like it's that good. Like it gets recognition, but it's not like when people are saying like what's the best horror movie, American horror movie ever made, like nobody ever says Phantasm. It's always like it's kind of a afterthought sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the sequels that are attached to it. You know, sometimes that can play a factor. Like,
Yeah.
which I love them. I love all the sequels except for Ravager, that last one they did,
Mm.
um, which wasn't even directed by Coscarelli. That was like some they were trying to do like some series, some online series or some shit, and it was like a bunch of different episodes that they kind of pieced together to make one movie or something. I don't know. It wasn't cohesive. It sucked. It was
Mm.
fucking terrible. Um, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. You know, they started losing money towards the end of the sequels, and like they started going direct to DVD. Like the last, like 3 and 4 were direct to DVD.
Yeah.
Um, Universal got the rights for part 2 and put it out, which is why like Fright Rags puts all Phantasm 2 shit out because it's Universal.
Mm.
Um, but it flopped. You know what I mean? So and they tried to make it. They tried to like fucking Hollywoodize it when it was really just this really cool indie film they should have never fucked with. You know what I mean?
And there's some yeah, I totally agree with that. Which I don't think two is a bad movie. It's more of didn't it have some connection to James Cameron in some
I
way
don't
because
know. I don't.
because to me Phantasm 2 feels like a James Cameron sequel. You know what I mean? Like the way that Cameron took Alien and turned it into Aliens, which was like a bigger, more action based type
Yeah.
of movie. I want to say maybe not James Cameron, but maybe Catherine Bigelow or somebody. I can't remember what there was. I feel like I remember somebody saying
Yeah.
there's a connection there, but
There may have
um,
been. I couldn't speak on that. You know, I don't. I'm not sure 100%. So, but but yeah, I mean the sequels were I liked them. I liked part 2, 3, 4. I liked them all, but so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but
but
it is.
when you start to water it down a little bit, maybe
Hmm.
some in some people's minds where you're just like, I think that definitely can
Yeah,
happen
that could influence some perspectives, I guess.
because it'd be kind of the same as if Argento did Suspiria 2, Suspiria 3, Suspiria 4. It'd be
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
would kind of maybe take a little bit of that luster off the original, but
yeah.
um, but okay, 10th and final question:
All right.
Team Ben or Team Harry?
Team
Where you at
Barbara
on this?
1990. They should have gotten the fuck out of there. That's what they should have done. Um, no, but well, and honestly, that's probably what they all should have done. But between those two, I'm gonna probably say Team Harry. They probably should have went to the basement. But I think Harry could have been a little more diplomatic about the way that he went about things, and I think Ben could have also. But then you wouldn't have a movie, right?
Right.
Like if they were like, "Hey, we should go to the basement."
No conflict.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that, but let's board this up first. Okay, shake hands. There's no fucking movie. You
But
know what
should they board it up?
I mean?
Period. Because if you think about it, they were already in the basement. By the time Barbara got there, the house was empty. Like there were no ghouls trying to get in. It was just kind of deserted. And they were fine down in the basement.
So
But
if
as
they
soon
if
as
they
Ben
if
shows up, starts turning on all the lights and hammering all the wood to everything and attracting all that attention.
making all the noise and shit, yeah, I mean that you're
Yeah.
right. Um, Maybe they should have just all went to the fucking base. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I still I'm gonna say that Harry was right, even though he was a prick. Technically they
Yeah.
were both pricks. Like I mean, um
But see,
they
like
could have
that's also the thing too. It's like when if you're in a situation like that where everything is literally turned on its head, like the world is upside down, like your reality is turned upside down, you're probably not going to think too straight. Your first instinct is going to be to like start
panic and
hammering these
scramble.
windows. Yeah, exactly. And nobody
Scramble.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the question that will never get solved and never get answered because there's always it's the beautiful thing about it. There's so many other you know aspects to whichever way you go. Like if they would have all just gone down in the basement and everything and didn't make any noise or turn on any lights and they all just sat down there, perfect. That's great. But you also
But
have
then
you have a
gotta
child down there that's going to turn at any moment. And when she turns, if Ben tries to kill her, Harry's going to kill him. And then who knows what the hell's going to happen down there. It's all going to fucking go to
absolutely.
shit. So there's really no right
Or
answer.
they could flash forward to 1990 and they could throw that bitch on a cot and they could just hit the road. That's what they should have done. Take that sick little girl, put her ass on a cot, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, I guess you can
And
do
then
that too.
let's go fucking rally with some rednecks and shoot some zombies in the trees, and we're good.
Yeah, that's always the answer in life. Rally with some rednecks, do some shit, and get it over with.
Yep.
All right, let me hit some of these comments here real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about Days of the Dead and Atlanta coming up next weekend. And then I'll let you get out of here, man. We're already 2 hours and 15 minutes into this sucker. I'm keeping you up way too late tonight.
Oh, it's been
It's
fun.
been
Dude.
great.
No,
I love talking with you, man.
And let me say this, if you don't mind, and I hope that there's still some people in the room.
There's a few.
I've been kind of wanting to tell you this, and I've been waiting for the right opportunity, and I wanted to tell you in person, or trying to think of the right way to tell you. It's really cool that every year we have this awesome ability to kind of get together every June and meet each other and get together and celebrate George and his films. You know, it's a really cool kind of annual thing that we're able to do. But I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you, because now we get to do it every weekend. And, you know, there's a lot of people that follow you. There's probably a lot of people in the chat that don't, you know, they haven't been yet, and they probably won't be able to go. So this is sort of like their opportunity to celebrate George and to talk to people. You go through every fucking comment. Like, you pull everybody that says anything, you throw them on the screen, and you have an answer, and you talk about it, and you celebrate with them. And that's really you do. Except for, you know, like the round table, it's kind of hard to get to all of them, but you care, and it means something, and you're kind of carrying this torch. You know what I mean? Like, the WGON guys, they don't really get to do it as much as they used to. So to have somebody that gives a shit enough and cares enough to do this every weekend, every other weekend, whatever, it means something, and it's special. It means something to me, and I wanted to tell you thank you. And I hope you keep going.
Absolutely,
I hope
man.
you keep doing this.
I'll keep doing it until it just isn't fun anymore, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's why I started doing this to begin with. Because, you know, you go to live, like you said, like you go to Living Dead weekend once a year, and you get to do it's like I said, it's like being at Disney World. It's
summer camp.
Exactly. It's summer camp for a few days, and then you go back home, and then it's just real world for the next 360 days or whatever it is. And I was just like, man, it's just not enough. Like, I got to do something, like, because the WGON guys weren't really doing too much anymore. Like, it was just, I wasn't getting the conversation and the camaraderie that I wanted. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just do something on here. And like I said, I started watching the Dead Pit guys and saw what they were doing. And I was like, I'll do that. You know, I'll hop on here and I'll fucking just talk. I'll just get it all out of my head just so I can get through the week. And then more shit will pop into my head and I'll be like, I'll talk about that this weekend. And then over time, it's like, I'm glad that everybody's kind of coming together. Like, I love doing this. Every guy is in the comments, just chatting, and it gives us a spot. Like you said, that's why, like, I would love to get, you know, celebrity interviews or guests or whatever on here, but I'm honestly more interested to talk to people like you or Larry or Paul or Will, or like the people that have been fans of this stuff for years and years and years and have thought about it and just love talking about it. Like, that's my favorite part about going to Living Dead weekend every year, is meeting up with people and talking and just shooting the shit. And so it really means a lot that you said that, man. I really appreciate that, because that's literally the whole reason I started doing this. It was just like, well, I hope, you know, some other people want to come on and talk with me about this stuff at some point. And yeah, it's cool. So I really appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, man.
Man, whew, I haven't had a blowjob like that in a while. Thank you.
Well, hey, you were giving me some stroking a couple of weeks ago. You and fucking Grande.
That's true. You handsome bastard, you.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Let me get back comments here. I think I was here. Rick says, I think Joe Pilato did an excellent job playing Captain Rhodes. Made it his role, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so. And again, that's another situation where, talking earlier about George just kind of letting guys go, and sometimes it works out, or sometimes it doesn't, depending on
Yeah.
your tastes. But I guarantee you, George was just like, "Yeah, over the top, go for it. Like you guys are stuck in a cave. You're losing your fucking minds. The world is over. You know it's over. Everybody just lose your fucking minds. Like that's what would happen. Like everybody would just resort to being psychopaths at that point, pretty much."
But you know what? That reminds me of something, and especially talking about the WGON guys. I don't know if you remember this, but a couple years ago, it was going to be me, Dan Lowry, and then like Matt, Eric Kent, a couple other people. We were supposed to be doing a reading of the
I
original Day of
remember
the Dead.
that.
Do you remember that?
I remember
And
that. Yeah,
it kind of fizzled out. I recorded all of my shit and sent it to Eric Kent, and
you
then I think it
did.
never. Yeah,
So they were working on that. I remember them mentioning that on some episodes where they were talking about possibly doing it, and it never happened. So I didn't know if everything
yeah.
was recorded. So I'd love to hear that. Uh,
Well, we should do it. I mean, I think we should do it seriously. Like, I don't know that it's ever going to happen. If you think about it logistically, it would be really difficult to get all these people to sort of, because some people probably don't have like I mean, I've got a DAW, I've got microphones and shit. I record music. I can record stuff, but there's some people that probably can't do that.
yeah,
Um, so
it's a
I
great
can
idea.
understand. Plus with the time, the time situation with other people and trying to get everybody together. But I
Yeah,
think I think that if we got some people that were really fucking diehard about it and really carve some time out, I think we could do it, man. That'd be fun.
maybe a project for one day. It seems like a lot.
That's what they said.
Whew,
That's
yeah.
what that's what we said 4 fucking years ago.
Well, I don't want to steal their thunder either. I'll let them do
Yeah.
it at some point. So it's
All
on
right.
them
All
now.
right.
It's on them now. That does seem like a hell of a project to take, but that'd be
Dude,
fun
we
as
could
shit.
we
I'd love
could
to do that.
fucking synth could put some music in it. I mean, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or Paul, shit. Have you listened
Yeah,
to? Did
Paul.
you his Savini Effect
Yeah, dude,
album?
Paul's an amazing musician. He's such a cool, and Paul's like one of those guys too where his energy is so awesome. He's like I gravitate towards people like Paul. I'm so glad I know
Yeah,
him and I'm friends with him. He's such a good dude. But
really good dude.
he was just texting me the other day about some synths because I know I brought it up to him like a year or two ago that I was looking for some stuff,
Hmm.
and just out of the blue, he's like, "Hey, I remember you were here's like 5 synthesizers you might be interested." I was like, "Fuck, dude, thank you." So, but
Yeah, Paul's a great guy. Yeah, I was listening
yeah.
to that Savini Effect album just a couple nights ago, and I put it in. I was working on some stuff for the stream tonight, like some of the graphics and stuff, and I was just listening to it, and I was just like, as it got to, I think by the time it hit Zombie 2, it was like the third track on it. I was like, this is really fucking good. Like
Yeah,
I
dude.
am like they did a great job on this. So I
They did.
texted him. I was like, dude, thank you so much for this. Like this is really fucking good. Um, but
I love
yeah,
his covers too. I love his drum covers. Like, yeah, I love
yeah.
watching him fucking jam out, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
So,
that like I said, that's how I first discovered Paul. That's how I first met Paul, was watching one of his drum covers, and I thought for a split fucking second that it was George because he had the
George
scarf and
playing.
everything. And I
Yeah,
was like, wait a minute, when did George play drums? I was like, wait a minute, that's not
yeah,
George.
yeah.
Um,
My
let's see
wife,
here.
my wife said that when she first saw him at Living Dead Weekend, she was like, that looks like George Romero?" I was like, "No,
Yeah,
it's not,
yeah,
baby, but he's close.
he's got that '70s
He's got his
George thing
spirit.
going.
He's got
Yeah,
George's spirit, man."
he's carrying it.
Yeah.
So Sean says Cemetery Man's beautiful. A lot of love for Cemetery Man here. Since then, I just watched Cemetery Man last night with Joe Bob. Really great in that female lead.
Oh,
Yeah,
Anna
yeah.
Anna Falchi. Oh my God. Yes. Beautiful woman. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever
Steel Sowabi.
yeah, Michele Soavi. Have you ever read this Night of Living Dead, like the behind the scenes making of or whatever?
No, I haven't.
Joe Kane. It's pretty good, but I had some issues with it. There's a couple of there's a couple of things in here that weren't accurate. Like he mentioned John Amplis at one point was one of the not Coast Guard. What were they at the beginning of the film? He called him Coast Guard. Called him like a Coast Guard officer or some shit at the beginning of the middle. And that reserve, whatever. I don't know. So he kind of he took John Amplis and mispronounced what he did in the film, but he also said something about Cemetery Man and named one of the other characters in the film. He said that was played by Anna Falchi, but they weren't. So I was going to ask you about that if you've ever read this and if you were
No.
able to pick out any more inconsistencies or anything else that was wrong with it. If there's anybody out there that's ever read this, the Joe Kane Night of the Living Dead book, it's got
No,
some
I
good
haven't.
information in it, but there's some inconsistencies and some errors in it that I was like, it kind of took me out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the
So
thing when I read books like that is like if there's even if like 90% of the shit that they're saying is true, if there's 10% bullshit in it, like it just turns me off to like I'm just like, all
yeah,
right, they obviously are just kind of I don't know how seriously they took this turning it up, but like if you Lee Carr's behind the scenes of Day of the Dead, have
yeah,
you read
yeah.
that?
That's
Like
awesome. Yeah, I took that with me to Sanibel when I went down there, in Fort Myers.
it's so fucking good, and there's so
Yeah.
much information in there that's just like mind blowing that you would just never have known.
Yeah.
Um,
And Lee Carr, he's kind of disappeared over the last few years, but he was pretty vocal about some things on Facebook for a long time. But he's
yeah.
so knowledgeable, dude. Like he knows everything about every movie. And he's actually the one that helped me find a lot of the City of the Living Dead locations in Savannah. He used to live in Savannah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So yeah, he sent me all the hard to find shit that nobody knows about. Not even the fucking Grim Life Collective knows about it. So yeah.
There you go. I met Lee once when I was going around. I think it was Living Dead Week in 2021. I think he was there. Just bumped into him real briefly because I had his book and I was going around getting everybody from Day of the Dead to sign it. Um, and I think I was getting who the
He
fuck was
didn't want to
signing
go to
it?
that.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah, he was there with Gornick, right?
I think it was Gornick because Gornick was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, there's the guy that wrote the book." Turn
Yeah.
around and Lee's standing there. I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?"
Yeah, he
Uh,
had some and I'm not going to talk bad about Lee at all. I don't really know the guy personally. We've been friendly and we've been acquaintances for a while, but he had some issues with the face mask stuff, I think. And I don't think he wanted
oh,
he
the mask.
yeah, he was basically like fuck this. I don't, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but and
yeah.
honestly, I haven't yeah.
Forget about that. In 2021, we
hmm
were all just still wearing masks. Yeah,
A
forget
lot of
about
us
that.
were, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, um, okay, so let's see here. Rickson, the best character, ghoul attack scene was Steven in Dawn of the Dead elevator attack. The ghoul attacks in the. Oh, Steven in the Dawn. Oh, okay, okay, I see what you're saying. Steven's performance as the zombie. Okay,
Yeah.
David M. Geese.
Oh
Okay,
yeah. Dude, he was King Zombie, man.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to beat. Um, I'm trying to catch up on some of these comments, guys. I apologize. Because I'm pretty far behind. Just looking at some of these comments.
I'll shut the fuck up and let you roll, dude.
No, you're good, man. I'm just gonna roll through real quick. So we still got to talk about Days of the Dead here. Galen was at a Post Malone Jelly Roll concert last night. I saw that
Wow.
too on Facebook. Was it Facebook or Instagram? I remember she posted some pictures of it. I was like, I wonder if they knew that they were in the presence of greatness in Galen Ross. Um, that's a good point too, Rick. I think Galen Ross has not been given full credit in playing Fran. Yeah, I think she's a little underrated. Her performance in that for sure.
Yeah, that was her first role, right? Too, like her first acting role
Yeah.
on film. Yeah, I think that
She didn't have
she did
much
an
after
excellent
that
job.
either. She did a few
No.
others after that, but she's more filmmaker now. I mean, she's a
hmm
documentary filmmaker, good friends with Tony Buba. So, um,
Creep Show, and what was the other one that she doesn't like to talk about?
Madman.
Madman. That's right.
Yeah, where she's Alexis Dubin, I think is her screen name. She didn't even want to use her real name. Which Galen Ross is a screen name too, but
Yeah.
she didn't want to use that name. So Sean is assumed for sure they were a gay couple. There you
Huh.
go.
Never thought about it. Never once thought about
I
it.
never did either until Joe Bob brought it up, and I was like, "Is that really a thing?" Zombie Historian, what's up, man? Do you guys have any thoughts on the 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead? It's the first zombie movie I ever saw, so I'll always
Yeah,
have
it's
a special
great.
spot for it.
I used to call it Night of the Screaming Dead because that's like all they fucking did for the first half of the movie was scream the whole fucking. Did you see it? Did you see it at the theater in 2022 at Living Dead Weekend?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
checked it
dude,
out.
it was so loud. Like the
Yeah,
screaming, like motherfucking hair was standing up on the back of my neck.
yeah. After that night, that's when I started referring to it as like if you'll love Night 90 if you are a big fan of people screaming and hammering incessantly. It's just
Yes.
screaming and
Yeah.
hammering.
Yeah. But
through most of the movie.
I love that version of the film. I love Tony Todd in that film. So my freshman year of high school, in my drama class, we had to do a monologue, and that was my monologue that I chose was Ben's,
That's awesome.
where he's over the fire talking about everything.
Yeah,
So yeah, love that
that's
film.
awesome. Sean saying gay or not, they had themselves a sweet household setup for sure.
Sure
That's
did.
true. That's true. Maybe that's another aspect of Joe Bob's theory. It's like all the soldiers are living in who knows what filth and
What?
there's nobody there to clean up after those fucking guys. I mean,
No.
geez, we saw what they do late at night when they get drunk and start throwing
Yeah,
chairs
it's
and shit.
true. Yeah.
So I don't blame them. I'd be out in a fucking camper out in the middle of the cave too, just to get away from that shit. Mr. Gary Clark did a great job as Steel, Mercenary to Life. Yeah, Gary Clark. I mean, he did a lot. I forget who it was, but he did a lot of stage work with some pretty big actors, some big name guys before Day of the Dead. So he was a pretty seasoned actor.
That's one I was bummed about too, because when they were advertising Living Dead Weekend, the original, the one that was going to be 2020, he was going to be there, and then when they pushed it off to 2021, he passed away in that time frame.
Uh,
So that would have been
yeah,
cool.
I never got to meet Gary either. But by all accounts, I mean, I never met him. I never met Pilato either. I had the opportunity to
Nope.
meet Pilato, but I was just like, he was such a larger than life persona. Like it's just like
Intimidating.
Well, I just met Tom Savini. It was the first time I met Tom Savini, and Savini kind of crushed my soul a little bit there. I was just like, oh man, are these people all going to be assholes? And of
Oh
course,
my
Pilato
goodness.
was sitting right next to Savini, and I was like, I'll just come back, maybe. I never did. I regret that. Will saying the producer's cut is way better than the theatrical Halloween 6. I'm assuming. I could go either way. I don't think either way. Objectively, I don't think either one of them are that good, to be honest with you. But like I said, personal connection to it was the first one I saw, so I.
Oh no! Now, yeah, the producer's cut. I hated the producer's cut. I couldn't stand that thing. Now that I'm thinking about
They
it.
stop them by putting rocks all around them at the end, and
Yes.
he,
Yeah, that
and
was,
he
man.
fucking shut down like a robot, and he was just like and just stopped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've actually got that on Blu-ray. Yeah, I can't stand that thing. Yeah.
I actually have that on a bootleg DVD that I bought years and years and years ago because that was the only way that anybody could see it.
Wow.
Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm going to skip over a few of these, try to catch up so we can talk a little about Days of the Dead coming up next weekend. Then I'm going to let you go. We're 2.5 hours into this fucker, and it's almost 1 a.m. where
Oh
Matt's
yeah.
at. So
It's all good, man.
Okay, since saying Dawn is his favorite score, Creepshow, best production. That's right. But he does say the Creepshow soundtrack is amazing. I agree. Sean saying Phantasm's great. First horror movie he remembers. That's one I remember watching as a kid too, because my dad was a big fan of it because he thought that the Michael character was, because when my dad saw it, he was a kid, and that's who my dad wanted to be as a kid, was the cool kid running around, fucking jean jacket, driving the fucking
Riding the
muscle
dirt bike.
car, riding the dirt bike, driving the muscle car, like he was a fucking cool kid,
Yeah.
So that was one my dad always was a fan of back in the day. See, James Lundy, what's up, man? Tubular Bells, Psycho, yeah, can't miss on either one of those scores either. Our soundtrack, Tubular Bells is just a song. Anything outside? TCCK Gaming saying John Masari has some super underrated horror soundtrack music. Well, does that name sound?
I'm not familiar to that. Yeah,
not either. Sensei Carpenter for sure.
Oh yeah,
can't go wrong. Carpenter score. Rick saying, I often thought the ending of Night of the Living Dead 68 had connotations to the novel All Quiet on the Western Front about World War I. It's possible. Certainly possible. Got people going back and forth about Team Ben or Team Harry. There you go.
Always creates an interesting, conversation. So,
Since I'm getting weepy now, I guess when you were
oh
talking about the channel, things up.
yeah,
No, thank you guys, man. You guys make it fun. 'Cause for a while there, I was just talking to myself. There'd be like one or two people in the room every now and then, and I'd just be like,
yeah.
I'm just rambling. Fuck it.
I thought it was pretty cool when you started doing the live stuff and kind of shooting from the hip live and bringing people on. I thought that was pretty. When I first met you, for whatever reason, I got the impression that you were kind of a timid, shy guy, and then when
I
you started
am.
like, but it's so
I am.
cool. Like,
You meet
it's
me in
look what you're
person, I'm kind of quiet. I'm just like, hey, what's up, guys? But
but
like when
look
I'm
what
on
you're
here, I'm
doing
just like,
now.
hey,
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
fucking dancing monkey on here. But no, I like to listen to people a lot.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in person, like I like to listen and take in and throw in my 2 cents here and there. But like when I do something like this, like I've always played in bands and stuff like that. So I've been the lead singer, the front man of a band before. So I know how to like, you know, pantomime and do all that. But
Yeah.
Uncle Bill, what's up, man? Uncle Bill says, I completely agree with this. It's amazing to see someone carry the Romero torch and focus on that corner of films in the way that you do. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. Well, thank you, Uncle Bill. You make me feel all some kind of way too, man. Warm and fuzzy. All warm and fuzzy. I appreciate you stopping in, brother. See, Rob saying I'd love to see a remake of Assault on Precinct 13 in the style of Romero with the cholos being zombies instead. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Night of the Living Dead is, isn't it? It's kind of a siege
It's a
movie.
it's a siege movie. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of those the two are not, they're very similar in that aspect. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't I wouldn't want to see a remake. Remakes nowadays, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't think they would. I
yeah,
don't think they'd be able to handle it.
yeah. I'm kind of remake that. They already did a remake of Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh yeah, they did. You're
Yeah.
right. No, Ethan
And
Hawke, right?
yeah, it always pisses me off when I'm like at a mega replay or something here, and I'm looking through the Blu-rays and I see Assault on Precinct 13. I'm like, oh shit, and I pull it out and it's a fucking remake. It always, never fails. I'm just
Yeah.
fuck. Why?
Fuck you.
Not what I wanted. Uncle Bill saying, "What the hell's up with Actualist now? I rarely hear from him anymore. He's doing the Garf. He's doing some podcasts here and there. I think they do like once a month, isn't it? Him and Blasey, Eric.
Yeah, I think
Once a
so. It
month.
might even be more spaced out than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's when I don't know if it's when they have time or if there's something to do with the Garf. I'm not really sure why it's so spaced out like that, but
yeah. I'd
yeah.
like to. I just us speaking, but I'd like to see more of them than the two girls that they got on there a lot of the
Yeah,
times. I'd much rather see some more Blasey and Eric Kent, but it is
absolutely.
what it is. There's like multiple versions of Goblin. That
Yeah,
is,
there's Claudio Simonetti's, and then there's the other version of Goblin. I think they're both touring right now separately, or one of
yeah.
them
There's all
one of
kinds of
them
shit going
lost it.
on.
Yeah, there's all kind of shit, crazy shit going on.
I saw something the other day where like a couple of guys, was it? Yeah, a couple of guys had stopped playing, so they're bringing in a couple other people to continue the tour, and it was just like Jesus Christ, like
Yeah,
it's all jumbled up now.
guys are just a cover band at this point.
Yeah. Robson Savini wanted that role of Rhodes bad. I wonder if he had any gripe with Pilato. Maybe. I don't think
Hmm.
so. I think Savini in that role. I love Savini to death, but Savini was doing what he was supposed to be doing, what God put him on Earth to do, and that is the makeup effects on fucking Day of the Dead. Because to me, like, still some of the best practical makeup effects ever.
Magnum opus. That's his.
Yeah,
That's his fucking magnum opus. The
yeah.
best. Yeah.
So he did the right thing. Savini just focus on that, and your legacy is forever sealed. And
Yeah.
Pilato will be forever Captain Rhodes. So,
Absolutely.
do I play any instruments? Yeah, I play guitar, bass, drums, shit like that. I can play, but like when it comes to piano, keyboards, anything like that, like forget it. Like I've tried, and it never computes with me. Like I'm good at just making what do they call it, soundscapes every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
but
Like
I yeah
atmospheres. Yeah.
yeah I'm good at that, but outside of that, no good. That's why I'm so like I get so fascinated watching Synth do his shit. Like when he's like I don't know, it doesn't compute with me because I'm just so used to like chords and you know chord progressions and
Yeah,
scales
there's
like that. But
I
like, it's all the same shit, but it's just a different thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to kind of get into some of it, and it's just I can learn it. Like I know how to play. Like I'm I have drums, guitar, bass. I can play any instrument you put in front of me. I can even play the piano and keyboards. But like, there's something about trying to manipulate sounds with the synth. That's I don't
Hmm.
know. There's like sawtooth waves and shit like that, and like I don't know.
There's so
I
much.
haven't quite
Yeah.
figured it out yet, but watching him do it, like I kind of peeked a little bit at the video that you guys did, and
Hmm.
watching him fuck around, I was like, damn, this is like masterful. I don't know. There's so many people
Yeah.
out there that like that's what they dedicate their lives to, is learning that shit. So
Yeah. I wish I was better at doing shit like that. But it's just I don't know. It just doesn't compute with my brain. But like any other like harmonica, even like I learned to learned to play fucking harmonica pretty good. Like not John Popper or anything, but
yeah,
enough that I could record parts on songs and shit. And but like if you just like okay, play this piano, figure this out, like forget about it. I can't. It's just
yeah.
can't do it. Um, Sean Sanassis, I could see Savini in the role, but Pilato was lights out perfect. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like I could, I don't know if I could see Savini in that role. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. You think he could have been so up like that, and
No, I don't think
it'd have been
so.
different, something completely different.
No, I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think anybody could pull that off but Pilato.
yeah. It's kind of because it's funny because I often think if you have Pilato's little cameo in Night Riders when he's standing there with his hands on his hips and kind of talking to the group, it's so Rhodes that in my mind, like that's what Rhodes was doing before he when he left the troop, he went and joined the fucking military, and then all hell
Hmm.
broke loose, and that's he became Captain Rhodes. I don't know, but it's
Well, I
so
don't know.
similar in that performance.
Think of Savini as Morgan in Knight Riders, right? Like
Hmm.
think of that character. Do you think he could have pulled that off as Rhodes? I don't know. I'm trying to go in my head and see if he had the range. I know he's got the range to do it. I can't imagine. I just can't picture it.
It's hard to picture anybody else in that role other than
Yeah.
Pilato.
Yeah. Hmm.
Let's see, Uncle Bill said, "I don't know why Galen doesn't want to talk about flopping around in that hot tub in Madman." Yeah, have you seen Madman?
I haven't seen Bad Man. I've heard about it. I've heard you talk about it. I've heard other people talk about it, and I know
I
she's kind of ashamed of it, and it makes me want to see it just because of that. But no, I've never seen it.
yeah, it's not great, but I know people that love it, and it does have a cult following. But when I first saw it, like it took me a minute to realize that it was Galen, like because she looks younger. Like they tried to make her look like a teenager because it's like a
Yeah.
slasher in the woods movie, and they tried to make her look like a teenager, even though it was filmed, you know, 3 or 4 years after Dawn of the Dead. Um, and in Dawn of the Dead, she looks so much more mature and like I don't know. It's just it was weird, but not my favorite movie by any means. But um, uh, TCCK Gaming says what I've learned about Savini after talking to him is he's only sometimes in a good mood. Yeah, he's not just a jerk all the time. I've caught him at a good time, and had a good talk with him before. What you
Did you have a female with you? Because whenever you've got
that's
a lady friend with you, he seems to lighten up a little bit. So
that's
that's
the
just
that's the
my
secret.
yeah, that's my observation. So the first time that I met Savini, there was that is actually, I think I told you, is today this day 5 years ago. Um, I ran it like we my first convention I ever went to. I saw Savini sitting at a table, fucking arms crossed, didn't even have a handler. There's like nobody next to him, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot wait to meet Tom Savini. And my wife and kid were off doing something else. It was just me. I ran straight up to the table, had my original Day of the Dead one sheet. I'm like, hello, sir. This is very important to me. Thank you so much. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. And then, like, when my wife and kid came over to take the pictures, he was like, oh, hey, how's it going? You know, like lighting right up, and took a selfie with us. And, um, but I've heard I've heard several different things. I heard he's hit or miss, depends on what kind of mood he's in one day. Um, like I remember when we ran into him in Pittsburgh. We were at Living Dead weekend, and we were just shopping in Barnes and Noble, and he's checking out at the register, and I'm in there with my family, and I've got a Night of the Living Dead hoodie on, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Yeah, man, you know," and it was cool. It wasn't like a bad experience, but um, I've heard a lot of people that say he's really kind of dismissive. Like it's really like
Yeah.
his interaction with you is very transactional at the table. But
Yeah.
then when you find him somewhere else, like when we did the sidecar photo op, he was like fucking joking with us and cracking jokes and shit and playing with my kid. And it's, I don't know, it's weird. It's like I don't know how his mood shifts so much. Maybe when there's money involved, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
something
just
different.
something about him sitting there signing stuff. I guess it's just because over the years he's just like, ah, they're gonna sell this shit anyway. So, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
comes across so many people who probably don't know him, but just get him to fucking sign shit to sell. He's probably
Yeah.
come across so many people over the years that he's because I mean Savini's a smart guy. Like he knows, like he's a fan of this stuff too, and I'm sure he can
Yeah.
tell if you're a real fan of his stuff or not. But
Yeah.
even so, if you try to get a conversation started or anything, it's just kind of like, But again, if you like, I bumped into him in the lobby of the DoubleTree, and nicest guy. It was just like,
Yeah.
oh man, hey, sorry, excuse me, nice shirt, and just kind of started a little conversation. It's like, okay, well, I'll see you over at the show. I'm like, oh, okay, Tom Savini, see you later. And then you go to him at that show, and he's just like, thanks.
Yeah.
And you're just
Move
like,
on. Move
what
on.
happened? What
Yep.
happened to that dude from the fucking DoubleTree earlier?
Yeah.
Uh,
I've learned to not let it bother me. I kind
nah,
of had a weird experience with Scott Reiniger when I first met him.
really.
Yeah, I walked up to his table and he was talking to his handler or whatever, and I think he was in a conversation with the person that was in front of me too. And
Hmm.
I wasn't putting my stuff down for him to sign. I was putting my stuff down because I had a lot of shit in my
Hmm.
hand, and I was like setting it down to get ready. And he looked at me and he kind of said, "1 minute, hold on 1 second," and continued talking. And I was like, hold on, bro. We're not there yet. I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you say? It's like, yes, sir. Okay, but he was cool after that, but it was just very, very stern. It was almost like father like, wait, hold on right there.
See,
And
that's the same thing. Like my first interaction with Savini was actually at a panel discussion, which I've told this story before, but for anybody who doesn't know, it was at a panel discussion at Texas Frightmare Weekend. It was him and Greg Nicotero. And they were just on stage and they were just joking back and forth, just cutting up, having a good time. And then they're like, and Savini's like, all right, so are there any questions? And nobody said anything. So I just blurt out, oh, what was it like working with Joe Spinell? And as soon as I said it, he just fucking points at me. And it's just like, raise your hand. And it's like the same exact thing. It felt like you were just being like, no, bad. And it's like, but
yeah,
I'm okay.
but I love
So
you.
yeah, it was just like I'm just excited.
Yeah,
But it was just like that, and it probably wasn't even as bad as it was in my memory, But
yeah,
in my mind, it's he just pointed at me and just gave me this stern look, like to just like go to the principal. It's kind of what it
yeah,
felt like.
yeah, absolutely.
But but hey, that's a good segue. I guess we can talk about Days of the Dead Atlanta for a few minutes here before
All
we hop
right.
off. But coming up next weekend, October 4th through the 6th, Days of the Dead Atlanta in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, Scott Reiniger and Galen Ross will be there for a mini Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead reunion. Um, I'm pretty so one of the main reasons that me and Will both wanted to make the trip to Atlanta to see Scott and Galen again is Scott's not looking too great these days.
No, he's not.
It's kind of scary, and you never know. I mean, shit, we learned with David Imge earlier this year. It's like you never know how much longer. It's like one year, Nick Tallow is cutting up and joking with my daughter, and she's in the stroller, and Nick Tallow comes up
Yeah.
to her, it's just like cutting up, and then it's like the next year he's gone. It's like
Yep.
you never fucking know. So that's a big part of why I just want to, meet Scott again. Maybe
Absolutely.
just,
I remember last year in Pittsburgh when they I don't know if you remember when they wheeled him out in a wheelchair. I was like,
Yeah.
holy fuck! And he had a face mask on, and so
Yeah.
obviously he's probably got some immune stuff that he doesn't need to, he doesn't need to be exposed to anything, I guess. So
Right.
the fact that he's even showing up means something. Um, but yeah, I was when I saw that, I was kind of like, holy shit! Like Kip from uh, the museum upstairs was pushing him in the wheelchair, and I was like, man, this isn't good. Like this does not look good.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I'm with you. I think every opportunity that we can get, we should take while there's time. That's one of the reasons why I was so fucking bummed about missing this year in Pittsburgh, but happy that they were coming to Atlanta, like right on my fucking back porch.
Yeah.
And then now finding out that Ken is coming for Mad Monster the following month. And even I hear people making fun of fans for marking out and shit like that. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Like I'm gonna tell these people how much I love them every time I get an opportunity. Like they're gonna get sick of hearing me talk about how much I love their performance in Dawn of the Dead or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You know what I mean? I don't care. I just want you to know, and I want that experience for myself. I don't care if it's selfish. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um.
Exactly. That's
So
the big thing to me. Like, getting shit signed is cool. It's just something to remember the moment by. But the moment is the moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's the time that you get to just tell somebody. It's like, that's important. That's important to let them know, because I'm sure a lot of people, I mean, a lot of these guys never had big careers or anything, never made it in the big, the big. And a lot of time you meet those people that did break out into the mainstream, it's like they have no real affinity or love for the shit that they did years prior.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it's important to let them know. It's like, yeah, I mean, you had a small role. It's like Sharon Carroll, that John Vulo discovered, brought to Living Dead weekend last year. She had no fucking idea that this was a thing or anybody would even care to have her sign anything.
right.
But I spent like 80. I had her sign multiple things. I was just like, "You're on the poster. Please
Yeah,
sign
she's
by you."
she's on the poster. Yeah,
Yeah, please sign by you, please. Like, you are on the poster of one of the most iconic horror
ever.
films ever made. And she was like, "I had no idea that this was a thing. Like, this is crazy to me, but I'm
Yeah,
blown away." So it's always good to let them know that, like, just something you did years ago still resonates and still holds water, and means something to me and has meant something to my life. Like, as silly as that sounds, I mean, on the
you
surface, like,
you changed me.
yeah, it's like your music saved me, that
Your
type of
music,
thing.
you changed my life.
But yeah, I mean, that's the main reason
Yeah.
that you love going to these conventions and seeing these people. So it'd be good to see Scott and Galen, obviously. Anybody else on this guest list that you are excited to meet? Tom Skerritt is going to be there. Will
Not,
Phelps, Daddy.
not, not a, I'm not a huge Tom Scared fan. I'm not going to meet Tom Scared. I'm excited about Ogre from Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember you
yeah.
mentioning him.
I'm a big. I love electronic music. I love industrial music. I grew up on that shit.
I
Skinny
know that's
Puppy was
something.
a
That's something we could do a whole other stream on. We could just sit and talk about music for another 3 hours at some
Yeah, we
point. But
could. Yeah, I want to pick your brain about Dax Riggs and how you got into all that, but because Dax Riggs is one of my favorite artists of all time. When I found out you, I was like, yes, we're best friends now. But but
it's funny, like when I meet people that A, know who Dax Riggs is, but B, like him, love him, whatever. Like, that's our bond. It's like meeting somebody who loves Dawn of the Dead. It's like a bonding moment. You're like,
yeah,
oh my god, all right, all right. I actually,
you saw that picture of me when I met him, right? Like
yeah,
20 something years ago. I looked like a
yeah,
fucking. I was like so nervous, and he just looked so awkward. That's a really awkward, dude. But anyway,
yeah.
getting off. So Skinny Puppy Ogre. Really looking forward to meeting him. I was able to see their last tour, their final tour when they came through. I got a signed poster and everything, but I wasn't actually able to meet him. Um,
Oh,
they
that'd be
did like
cool.
the they did like the VIP thing where you could meet the band, but they were doing like a distance thing.
Oh,
But he's at these conventions now, like fucking hugging people, and I'm like, yes, I gotta meet him in person and
I
tell him
get
how
to hug
much.
him.
Yes, I get to hug this man and
I can
tell him
touch him
how.
now.
Yeah, like I got a copy of Too Dark Park. I'm gonna get him to sign. It's one of my favorite industrial records ever. Um, the stuff he did in Pigface. I don't know if you know any of this stuff, but I like what he did with Pigface, Martin Atkins, and all that shit. Um, he's just kind of an iconic industrial figure, and he's, he's 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with Trent Reznor. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
huge. That's like my favorite of all time is Nine Inch Nails. Um, so I got to meet him. I have an opportunity to meet him. I'm gonna fucking meet him. I'm excited about it. Um,
Yeah, that's awesome,
so,
man.
but other than
Now,
that,
now, other than let's get serious here. What about Chris Kattan? Are you excited to meet Chris Kattan?
so I don't know if you just saw, he canceled today. So Chris
Oh,
Kattan will
really?
not be there. Yeah, I'm sure he probably saw the guest list and was like, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not coming.
Well, I'm
Just
not
the
fucking
dude.
going then. I don't know.
He was supposed to do some stand up too, but I guess
Yeah,
that's
him
over.
and Don Jameson.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
He used
Yeah.
to do that metal show with Jim Florentine and Eddie Trunk. I don't know if you ever watched that on VH1 Classic back in the day, but
No, not a VH1 fan.
you're not a big
Headbangers
VH1
Ball,
fan.
maybe. No, Headbangers Ball,
Yeah,
TV2, shit like that, maybe, but
yeah,
not no. 120 minutes, Matt Pinfield. No
oh
VH1
yeah.
though. No.
Um, but yeah, so that sucks. Well, I mean, not really. I didn't give a fuck about. I mean, that was my thing. I was like, who is itching to meet Chris Kattan? Like, I need somebody. I need you to sign my Night at the Roxbury poster.
Yeah, who
Like,
cares?
what? So yeah, that was a weird one anyway. But
Um uh Jenna Jameson, I think, is gonna be there now. They announced her today.
Jenna Jameson's gonna be there.
Yeah, she's gonna be there.
Wow, I haven't seen her in years.
Yeah, I think she's been going to some of the Days of the Dead stuff,
Huh.
but yeah, other than that, no, dude. There's like a huge Revenge of the Nerds reunion or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's a place for that, and I don't feel like it's Days of the Dead. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking of just looking at this guest list. I mean, Veronica Cartwright from Alien, Invasion of the Body
Yeah,
Snatchers. I
they've
mean,
got some of the
Kane Hodder's going to be
yeah,
there, of course. I mean, Kane Hodder's everywhere somehow.
yeah. Which is funny. I want to get a picture of him and my kid because the first time my kid met him, I have it somewhere. I'm not gonna go grab it, but Kane like leaned in towards my kid, and you see my kid like leaning in the opposite direction because he's scared.
Just like,
I'm just standing behind him smiling because of how happy I am, but it's like it's doing like this in the picture. It's fucking hilarious. So hold
it's
on
like
one second. Hold on.
it's like the picture of Jeff as Tar Man with my daughter, and she's in the stroller, and he's leaning over, and she's just looking up at him. Like,
Here,
yeah, I should have
I
known
don't know if
that.
you can see it. You see how he's like I don't know, where's the
Hang on,
camera? You see how
hang
he's
on,
like leaning away because he's so fucking scared of Kane Hodder. That's so funny.
hang on a second.
You see
There we
it?
go. My
Hold on.
shit's running
There
slow.
we
I
go.
got you full screen there.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like leaning away from him. He's
he's
so
like he's like, all right, stay away, stay away. Just a little distance, little distance, please.
yeah.
All right, there we go. Shit's working a little slow here, but
It's all good.
um, so yeah, Kane's gonna be there. Jackson Robert Scott, the little kid from It. How do you feel? I mean, I don't even know if he's still a little kid or not. But this is always one thing about conventions that's always kind of weirded me out is when they have kids there and then like grown men coming and like taking pictures, especially like young girls, like the girls from like the Exorcist, the new Exorcist movies, and
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
always a little skeevy to me. I don't know.
it is, and I don't know. I don't even know how to articulate it though. I don't really know how to put it into words. It just seems it just feels wrong. I don't know. But
Yeah,
that guy, I think he's a little older now. It's like the kid from Trick or Treat that played Sam. He was going to a lot of conventions for a while, but I think he's like a fucking grown ass man now.
it doesn't look like
So
Sam anymore. Didn't
no.
quite work.
So,
Yeah, I guess
but
the It and It Chapter 2, like those two, that was what, 2017, somewhere around there.
yeah. So 6, 7 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I guess it's not as creepy, but you get what I'm saying though, and it's just like the little girl from fucking Terrifier or something, you know. It's just like,
Yeah.
or is that what I'm thinking of? I don't can't remember, but you see
Yeah.
those kids like at Horror Hound last year. There was a couple of like young girls there, like little kids, and it's just like, what? Who? Like, I don't know. It's just a little skeevy to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just
it feels weird. It does feel weird. Yeah,
me.
I agree with you.
Judith Roberts from Dead Silence. I've actually never seen that movie, so I don't.
I haven't
What's
seen
her
that
name on?
either. That's one of those like Conjuring films, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it came
Yeah,
out around that same time when all that was coming out.
yeah,
That was just one of those I just never really had the urge to go see. It's the killer doll or possessed
yeah,
doll movie or
yeah.
something. I don't know, but Bill Duke from Predator and Commando. That'll be an
Predator,
interesting
yeah,
guy to see.
that'd be
The
cool.
two of the best
But
fucking
are
action
these?
movies of the '80s.
But are you going to drop any money at their tables though? That's the question. Like,
No, I'm
is that a
not.
draw for you? Yeah,
No.
no.
Like I said, outside of Scott and Galen, I mean Amanda Rigetti, I don't know who that is.
Uh-uh.
Dana DiLorenzo, don't know who that is. She's from Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, the Ash versus Evil Dead people are going to be there. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Skid Row, guys from Skid Row are gonna be there.
don't
Which,
care.
which I mean, everybody loves 18 in life, but if it ain't Sebastian Bach, who gives a shit? Um, Derek Mears is gonna be there.
The Friday the 13th remake and all that shit.
Yeah, which I hear
Yeah,
he's a pretty cool guy, but
that's what I've heard.
it's just too new. Mira Sorvino. I mean, I do love Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, but
Romy and Michelle.
yeah,
Yeah.
can't beat that. The Revenge of the Nerds. I'll tell you what, I can't remember his fucking name off the top of my head, but they just added a guy. Um,
Yeah, I remember. I can't
Hold
get
on,
to
let me
my
look it up.
phone. Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick. But they just added this guy here recently, and I saw him do a photo, and I guess he was in Revenge of the Nerds. I can't remember, but what I remember, that's not it. But what I remember him from and love him from, and I'm probably the only person on earth who feels this way, but I am a huge Grease 2 fan. So I might go to his table and get him to sign something from Grease 2.
You
I
might be
fucking
the only
love
one.
Grease 2. I think I might be the only one, but I prefer Grease 2 over the original. And I'm just like, I just think it's a badass movie. It's got I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer is forget about it.
Yeah.
It's fucking motorcycles. It's about the cool rider who just comes out of the night in the fucking goggles and does all the shit. I don't know. It was cool to me when I was a kid, and the music is is it's a good like rock and roll musical to me. That's the
Yeah.
way I look at it. Like it's got some good shit in it. I don't know. One of those weird quirks, but Robert Carradine's going to be there for the Revenge of the Nerds cast reunion. It's pretty much got a bunch of fucking people, which I'm not the biggest fan of Revenge of the Nerds or anything. So
Yeah, they Days of the Dead typically does like big cast reunions like that, but I've never heard of them doing something like that with like a comedy or something. It's usually
yeah,
like a big horror. They've done a lot of the Friday the 13th stuff. Like I got a bunch of signatures on my Part 6 poster. They had like the whole cast and crew from Part 6 there one year. Um, but yeah, that's kind of odd that they're doing Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know.
yeah, it's a little out there. Not really. I don't really. I don't really collect too much Revenge of the Nerds stuff, but
Yeah. If it weren't for Scott and Galen, I would honestly I wouldn't be going. I wouldn't be going. In fact, when are
yeah,
y'all going all 3 days or just one day or what?
I think we're just planning on doing Saturday.
Okay. Because
Because I
I haven't
mean,
got yeah, that's
like I
when we're
said,
gonna
outside of
go.
Scott and Galen, I mean, like what else? I mean, we'll hit the vendor tables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A day feels about right, but while we're up there, I mean, like like we've discussed, like definitely want to visit Dwayne Jones' gravesite because he's buried in. What do you know? Why he's buried in Atlanta? Because I know he was born in New York.
That's his mom. I think he's buried next to. So I actually I reached out sometime I think it's been 2 or 3 years ago. I reached out to one of the guys that works at the cemetery foundation there, Jeff can't remember what his name is. He wrote a book about the cemetery, and he actually works there too, but
Huh?
because I was a little confused about it because I'd always read that he was cremated.
Yeah,
But then I've been hearing some things that, that he was buried there. So I kind of reached out because I mean all the dates matched up. I'm like, and I knew that he was buried in Atlanta. I heard he was buried in Atlanta, but I'm like, I thought he was cremated. So, which I know you can inter, ashes too, but I
Yeah.
reached out. He did some digging for me, went through some records, and came back and said, yes, his he was cremated. Those are his ashes that are buried in the ground there. So
Did some
uh,
digging.
I did some digging. I did some digging, and I
I
went and
had to
got my
know for
picture.
sure. So
Yeah.
I grabbed my shovel and I dug. At least that's what I had. I thought I was just in my mind. I was just like, you went out there, you dug them up, and you're like, that's Dwayne. All right.
Yep, that's him.
Did a
It's
little
kind of
digging on that one.
yeah. But yeah, so I believe that's his mother that he's buried next to out there. But
Okay.
I will tell you, Westview it's a gorgeous cemetery. It's fucking beautiful. We go out there often. They're a little particular about certain things though, which I've never really seen anybody like any groundsmen or anybody out there like policing the area, but they don't really want people like walking in the grass and stuff like that. We do it anyway. Nobody says anything, but just kind of like a just to keep it in your mind while we're out there.
Okay.
Like they don't allow pets and shit like that. It's very well maintained, very well manicured cemetery. Fucking beautiful. I was telling you about the mausoleum too. Like they have a
Yeah.
huge. You just watch Phantasm. You got to check out this fucking mausoleum. I'm telling
Oh,
you, it's like
I'm
three
totally
three
down.
stories. It's 3 stories. It's huge, gorgeous mausoleum. If you're into that kind of shit. Um,
Definitely.
my wife and I consider ourselves taphophiles, so we like we fucking cemetery hop and take pictures and shit like that, and
Ah.
I love it, dude. The architecture is so beautiful, and there's so
I've
much
never
history there.
I've never heard that word before. Taphophiles?
Taphophile, it's like
I've never heard that before. Maybe I'm the
great.
same way because me and my fiance, we used to when we lived in Murray, there was this one cemetery. We would just go multiple nights a week and just walk around, and that's actually where I found out that she was pregnant. Was in that fucking cemetery,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
we would go
cool.
walk around the cemetery and look for kid names. We would just look at the headstones and just think of names like, oh, what about this? So yeah,
Is that where you came up with Everly? Is that where you got that from?
no, as a matter of fact, no. It was just the Everly brothers.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because we're from Kentucky, they cut their teeth in Kentucky. Like Everly Brothers is kind of a big deal where I grew up, and I've
Yeah.
always been a big fan of their music. And actually, I think we just saw that name pop up online. We were just looking at lists. It was like Everly, okay. I was like, I love that name because I love the fucking Everly Brothers. So Everly Dawn Lancaster,
Perfect.
perfect,
Yeah.
works for me. But she was like, oh, then her initials are ED, and I'm like, well, just don't think of it that way, you weird ass.
Don't think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Um,
But yeah, it's
so
it's
yeah,
a gorgeous cemetery. I think you guys are gonna like it if you're into that kind of thing. There's some history there. There's some cool stuff to look at. So
yeah, it sounds like a plan to me. And then there's also Nick and Norman's as well. Definitely want to check that
yeah,
out.
yeah. If you're interested in that, it's in fucking Walking Dead land. I don't know if you're real willing to go that far. It's 20 minutes from where I live, but it's about the same distance from Atlanta. Um, it's where they filmed season three. Pretty much every season since season one, they filmed in that area.
Hmm.
Alexandria is right across the street. Um, um, Woodbury, the restaurant is on the street of the town of Woodbury where they film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. It's a great restaurant if you're interested in checking it out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
Me and me and Will were actually talking about because George's son owns a restaurant in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, which is just a couple of hours away from where we're at. So thought about maybe checking that out at some point too, because it's just a
yeah.
restaurant called Romero's, and it's
Oh yeah, that's cool.
George's son, George Cameron, I believe, is the one that owns it. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely down. Like I'll travel 2 hours just to go visit, just to go to a restaurant named Romero's. It's owned by his
Yep.
son, but
Yeah, that's
um,
awesome.
yeah, man, sounds like a plan. Um, are you going all 3 days?
No, no,
You
no, no,
mentioned.
no. We're
Okay.
just gonna go Saturday. We got some stuff going on Sunday. There's like like a craft fair festival down the street on Sunday that I think we're gonna go to. But Friday wide open. If you guys want to get together, go
Yeah.
check out some dead people and shit.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
get some food, whatever.
Let's do
Um,
it. Sounds like a
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Let me try to catch up on some of these comments here, and then I'll let you get out of here, man. I appreciate you spending some time with me tonight, past
Oh
3 hours or so. But it's
thank
been
you.
fun. I really enjoyed this.
I had a feeling we'd probably go a while, but I didn't know it'd be this long. So it's been a lot of fun. You know.
Yeah, one of these days somebody's gonna. I don't know if I can do it because that stream I did with Larry that was like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Like when that was over, like I hit the fucking end button and ran to the bathroom and just pissed for like a solid 3 minutes straight. Like I was in pain by the end of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if we'll ever beat that record, but three's pretty good. Three's pretty
Not
good.
bad. Not bad.
So yeah, let me knock out some of these comments and then we'll hop off here. Let you guys in night or morning now at this point. So let's see. Uncle Bill saying he's seen both Goblin versions way back in like 2015, 2016. They were both killer. Yeah, that's the thing. There's multiple versions, but they're both pretty fucking good. So I don't think I missed any others before that. Let's see. Yeah, Sean saying he had to check IMDb while watching Madman because he wasn't sure that it was Galen in it. Yeah, I had to do the same thing. Safini's hit or miss, way cooler out in the wild, for sure. Let me see here. Savini was an actual Vietnam War medic. Well, he was a combat photographer. Yeah. Which is he credits for his work, his effects work, while there. So he wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So he would resort back to his time as a combat photographer. Yeah, that's right, Uncle Bill. Yeah, photographer. Hey, what's up, man? Ed Trader Music and Entertainment. They say don't meet your heroes, but no one from the Romero camp has ever come to the Comic-Con here in Arkansas anyways. Nobody from the Romero camp ever comes to Arkansas. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Give it some time. I'm sure John Russo and Eugene Clark will be there eventually. So.
Eventually, yeah.
They'll find their way down there, damn it.
Selling anything they can fucking hawk.
See, Sean saying, there we go. I agree with don't meet your heroes, but if you're paying, goddamn, they should pretend to be nice. Yeah, that's true. At least put on a smile and, a nice hearty handshake,
Oh, yeah.
It's an interesting question. I wonder if George Romero and George Lucas have ever met each other in person. I don't know.
Maybe somewhere to party or something, probably.
Maybe. But George Lucas was kind of one of the main forces behind that new restoration of Night of the Living Dead that that moment did. So there's
right.
There's a connection there,
Yep.
So yeah, Norm destroyed Chris Kattan. Norm is God. Are you a Norm Macdonald fan?
I'm not a huge Norm Macdonald fan. I'm not saying that I don't like him, but I was never like super into his comedy.
I never got him when I was younger, but the older I get, like he's probably my all-time favorite comedian at this point. Like I can, but like when I was younger, I didn't get it. I was just like, he's just, I don't know, he's telling unfunny jokes. Like
there was Mitch Hedberg was like that. He was very dry and just flat, and the jokes didn't really land. But the older I got, I was like, this is fucking hilarious. Like this dude was hilarious.
There's like a deeper genius to those guys and what they were doing.
Absolutely.
There was more there than just like a standard joke,
Yeah.
Sean saying Dead Silence is a fine film. I've heard from certain people that it's not too bad. So it might be one worth checking out. Rick wants to see another World War Z movie. I mean, I would have just much preferred the first one to not exist and then maybe do something worthwhile with that book other than what they did.
I love that book, dude. The Max Brooks and then the what was the Zombie Survival Guide?
Zombie Survival Guide.
It was so good.
So good.
I was reading all that stuff way back. There was like an independent publisher. They were called Permuted Press. I don't know if you're into like zombie fiction and stuff like that, but they were pumping out shit 20 something years ago. That was so good.
Were they the ones that did Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
No, I don't think so. There was.
I remember seeing that. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
There was one. It was kind of like their flagship release for a while. It was called Day by Day Armageddon. It was basically like in journal form of this one guy that was like day by day fighting off zombies and shit, like defending his house and boarding it. It was really good, dude. There's one called Eden. It reminded me a lot of kind of like what The Walking Dead Dead did with Alexandria, where they had like a fortified little town and stuff like that.
Mm.
So they were pumping all kind of shit out. Um, about 20 something years ago. I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen anything in a while though that's grabbed my. I don't even know if that publisher is even still around. They were called Permuted Press. I don't know if anybody's out there that knows anything about that, but yeah. But yeah, World War Z was a really good book. I don't know why they made that piece of shit himbo Brad Pitt movie.
Yeah. There's no. When I saw the trailer and the zombies looked like ants, I was just like, "Oh God, not this."
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Right. Yeah.
Hell yeah, Sean. My fucking computer. There we go. Grease 2 rules. Damn it. Yeah, that's a sad one. George being buried in Canada. I'll get there one day. I'll have to get a passport or something. But I mean, Canada's not that far. But I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like you feel like you wished he would have been buried in Pittsburgh or somewhere in that area. You know, even though he wasn't even born in Pittsburgh, but he's a Pittsburgh guy forever. I mean, you go to Pittsburgh, you see George on the walls at fucking Permane Brothers. You see him
Permane
in
Brothers
museums, and George is Pittsburgh. You know,
he's on the wall at the mall.
Absolutely, he's on the wall at the mall in multiple spots.
Yeah,
he has a fucking bust at the mall. So there you go. There you go, Sean saying awesome guest. Thanks for joining us. I agree. Very awesome guest.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope to meet some of these people. Like I said, I know a lot of folks. A lot of folks do go to Living Dead Weekend, but I hope some more people come out, man. I would love to meet some of these folks one day.
Yeah, Sean is based in Braddock, so I mean, Sean, you better get your ass there next year. Synth, I know he's going to try to make another trip cross country. He went for the first time last year. Grande. Yeah, that's another big thing I want to do on this channel. Get more people, inspire more people to go and do it, because I waited so fucking long and missed out on so much. That do it while you can. I can't stress that enough. Do it while you can, because shit like the airport's going to be gone. I mean, shit's not going to be there forever.
No,
we're not going to be here forever. So
no. Fuck, the mall may not be here forever.
Yeah. Which, you know, it's struggling, but there's hope. Although I've heard some ideas, you know, ways to revitalize the mall, but you never. Doesn't seem too promising.
Yeah.
For the future, at least. I mean, it's fine now, but whatever. Norm's best comics. Watch his video podcast show. Yeah, the video podcast show is hilarious. I mean, he would go out of his way to lose sponsors and just make it the most hilarious fucking ad read you've ever heard. Sean got to see Norm live. That's awesome. Synth Love 3D, but hey, World War Z, Particle System Zombies.
Yeah.
Sean will meet you guys next time for sure. Well, I look forward to it, man. Well, Matt, it's been fun.
It has been fun.
We'll have to get you back on here another time. We could probably do another 3 hours. Like I said, we'll do another 3 hours on just music next time. But
absolutely, dude.
Appreciate you taking some time out and hopping on with me tonight. And I'll see you next weekend. So
yeah, man. We'll get together. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll get together. Be a fun time.
Well, anything you wanna plug or throw out there for people to check out, or?
Nah, man. I don't have anything going on. Nothing at all. Just hanging out with you. That's it.
You never know. Yeah, all right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Had a good time. Hope you enjoyed this conversation tonight. It's been about 3 hours, 15 minutes, and it didn't seem like a lot of people have jumped ship. So I guess it was here you go. Bonnie saying enjoyed the discussion. So there you go. Thank you, Bonnie. Good to see you as always. Sean, awesome show. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, I'll be back. Well, next weekend I'll be in Atlanta, so I might do some on location stuff possibly. We'll see. But you know, who knows what the hell happens after that? I kind of go. I go week by week. Usually by the end of the work week, I start to get an itch to talk about something. I'm like, you know, I could really talk about the 30th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead tonight. So that's what I'm going to do. So we'll see what happens. Good night, Ed Trader Music and Entertainment. Good night, Uncle Bill. Thank you very much, sir, for stopping in. Sent, do a live stream there, demo. That's an option too. I mean, depending on the internet situation. But
yeah, that might be cool. I thought about that. I thought about you doing a live stream while you're out there.
yeah, we'll see. My phone is complete dog shit though, so I'd have
Yeah.
to use something else. But
Might be better to do like a recap or something.
yeah, that'll definitely probably happen. If you want to come back on, after
Yeah, sure, dude.
we'll have Will on, do a recap. We'll just kind of shoot the shit and talk about what we did.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd love to talk to Will again too. That'd be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
You know how it goes. Everybody have a good rest of the night, a good rest of the week. And as always, stay scared.